Chapter 55-34. His wanted order was not for the entire territory, but just wanted for Giant Gate City. When you arrive in Qinghenyouzhou, you can do it recklessly. Holding a piece of jade slip, Jiutong directly found out its location and said, "Master, it will take another 3 years. It's too slow, since it's out of the sphere of influence of the Giant Gate City. There is no need to hide here, prepare to do it." The old man's trembling body seemed to fall at any time, but when he said this, his body the magic flames rose instantly. Unexpectedly, there is still a female Taoist with a special physique hidden here, which is a great tonic. Jiutong was stunned for a moment, and then Nianli leaned out of the secret room and entered the main hall. He also found Gong Miaoi and said with joy, "Master has good eyesight, I haven't found her at first." The respected master is the respected master. No matter how secret the prey hides, it can be discovered. This is also a gap in strength. Jiutong is only the third-order peak emperor, and his master is the fourth-order emperor. There is a huge gap in strength. First, solve the second-order emperor, these righteous emperors, each of them high-sounding, a small second-order emperor. I don't know how many killed. I didn't expect that in front of these Dao monarchs, they were pretending to be immortal. The old man disdainfully smiled. That second-order emperor is indeed quite outrageous. He is a fourth-order emperor, although he is a demon, but he has never put such a big score. Maybe it's because of living in the dark. And that second-order emperor is a righteous emperor, and it is normal to be respected. Although he would oppress those Sanshio Dao monarchs, at least he would not slaughter them at will. Nine tongs leaked a dark face, and the strong aura instantly pulled the Bluebird Palace from the gap in the space. It is not suitable for fighting in the crevice of space. Once the Bluebird Palace is lost, those Dao monarchs will also die instantly. These people are still a great supplement, of course they can't just be wasted. The Bluebird Palace was pulled out of the space, and the speed slowed down. Everyone in the hall suddenly stood up. Some Taoists in the secret room also rushed out. In the crevice of space, being forcibly pulled out by a powerful force, the opponent must be a powerful emperor. And it is hidden in the Bluebird Palace. Because from the outside, if you want to pull the Bluebird Palace out of the space, you will directly attack, but now the Bluebird Palace is more like an initiative to go out. Bluebird rushed out of the control room directly, cold sweat appeared on his forehead. I don't know that the senior is in the Bluebird Palace, and the younger has no eyes. Please forgive me. He was extremely nervous at this time, and at the same time, he had secretly transmitted to the second-order emperor. Jiuqi helped the skinny old man walked out of the secret room and said calmly, "Brother Bluebird, don't be nervous, master, and I just can't get used to sitting and want to go down now. It's the fault of the younger generation, please forgive me, this is the 50,000 sacred stone, please accept it." The Bluebird turned and bowed directly. Others don't know, I'm afraid he thought he was too careful, but only people like Jade Bird who often run shipping know. Once the situation emerges halfway, 80% will fall. Another 20% escaped by strength. In front of these two, he couldn't see the details. I am afraid they are all emperors. With just a gesture, they can be beheaded. Here in the deep wilderness, countless wild beasts are rampant. It is too easy to kill and overwhelm. Jiutong didn't bother to deal with each other. 50,000 sacred stones were nothing in their eyes. The right way is vicissitudes, but the magic way is not bad for money. There is nothing simpler than buying and selling without making a profit. Killing all of these people, plus the Bluebird Palace, can also produce hundreds of thousands of sacred stones. The third-order emperor of the right way is worth this. The third-order emperors of Demon Dao are worth comparable to those fourth-order emperors. That's why I look down on them. Killing these people, everything belongs to them. When these people are dead, no one will be able to see how ugly they are, so why bother to lose their prestige in front of these ants? Want to escape? Jiutong snorted coldly and shot instantly. With his arms extended for thousands of miles, he directly grabbed the second-order emperor who was hiding in the largest secret room. I was almost run away by the opponent just now. Senior, forgive me, I have followed Venerable Blaze. Venerable Burning Fire? Jiutong sneered. Even if the great lord of burning fire does not fall, I will take you down. I don't know how far it is from Liuzhou. Even if venerable burning fire did not fall, he would not be afraid. The key is that venerable fire has fallen, and the temple has disappeared from the northern border. This is the world of the Senate Palace. If it is a person from the law enforcement hall, he might still be worried, but the name of a dead person can't scare him. A huge suction directly melted the second-order emperor instantly, turned into blood and entered the old man's body. With this blood, the old man's face also recovered a little, but it was far from enough. Want to completely recover, unless you swallow the blood of a fourth-order emperor. But in front of these Dao monarchs, he casually killed a second-order emperor, which immediately caused panic. Many people began to report their homes. I, Wang Kuan, the son-in-law of the Dingtian Shao family, the ancestor is the fourth-order peak emperor, please forgive me. Junior Qinglan sect chief disciple please. King Neo's face turned pale, and it was amused to look at the Taoists who reported themselves. Speaking of it, his background is also very strong. If he encounters a professional interception team, it is still useful to report his name, but these two are obviously different. 90% of them are big monsters. It's impossible to survive, especially the practice of reporting one's identity. Maybe it's faster to die. Jiotong glanced at the crowd, nodded and smiled. You are so cute. You can even say that you are all beautiful. If you have one set after another, keeping it is a waste of resources. The hundreds of people who had stood up and reported their identities instantly turned into blood mist and finally condensed a drop of blood. Jian Wushuang, who was sitting in the corner, called the good guys. These two were more professional than he thought. It seems that the old man has done nothing less. The practitioner can instantly transform into essence and blood, and it is estimated that the body possesses a unique knowledge. And it's also about the origin of blood. Jian Wushuang's eyes were strange. He knows very little about the blood path, and he has obtained the secret method of the blood path from the gods, but it is not a complete secret method. Although it is only a beginner level, the power contained therein is not weak at all. This kind of secret method is a demon way, and most people don't know how to practice it. Unless it is the kind of heavenly demon cultivation method, which is both righteous and evil, it is said to be demon Dao cultivation method, but it does not threaten anyone, but the inheritor was once a heavenly demon. The blood path is different. As long as you practice, you will definitely go to the magic path. Jian Wushuang was not disgusted with this kind of magical behavior, and it was completely impossible for him to compete with natural selection. Chapter 55-35. There is no limit at all. Even if the heaven is very stable, there are few big demon among the emperors, but there are still some people who dare to try. Just like those casual cultivators who wander at the bottom, if they can't continue their cultivation, their potential is not good, and they don't have a backing, they can only choose to walk on the path of blood. After all, the improvement is fast. Few people can resist this temptation, unless it is an excellent talent and a good background. Oh! Jian Wushuang sighed. According to the plan, he should have taken the Bluebird Palace to Qinghenyozhou, but now it seems that the plan still cannot keep up with the changes. If he knew it earlier, he had settled these two people ahead of time. The road is difficult, and it is not easy for anyone. He is not soft. Whose way is easy? It's not easy. Regardless of good or evil, he only looks at the essence. There is no right or wrong, but each excuses for themselves. The old man Kuchai recovered a trace of blood, and was not in a hurry to deal with those casual repairs. There is too much difference in strength to threaten him at all. There is no need to be so anxious. His goal is Gong Miaoyi in the corner. Little girl. The skinny old man squinted his eyes. His voice was very soft, but the light in his eyes was full of killing intent. Gong Miaoyi did not resist, but glanced at Jian Wushuang. Get ready to do it. This is a wilderness, and the hands of the Senate Palace can't reach this far. Jian Wushuang calmly transmitted the voice. I cleaned up these people, changed their identities in a big deal, and flew over directly. Or continue to use the Bluebird Palace as a cover, but these saint cultivators can't stay. Little girl, get ready to dedicate yourself to your master. The skinny old man took out a scepter and held up his hands, as if doing some kind of ritual. Although Gong Miaoya's eyes were close in apathy, but the bottom of his heart was like Ming Jing. Killing these people is too simple, but in order not to expose yourself, it is better to hide the means and use other power to kill these people. For example, relying solely on the body. When walking slowly in front of the old man Kuchai, everyone held their breath. If they were still skeptical just now, then it is now certain that these two are definitely the Emperor of the Magic Road. They are really over. The Bluebird Palace Lord knelt aside, the cold sweat on his forehead had already seeped out, and he was unwilling to fall like that. Just as the old man Kuchai was holding the ceremony, he slipped out a trace of thought power quietly, preparing to separate a trace of origin, abandoning the physical body and the divine body, and also escape here. Even if he died in the wilderness, he didn't want to be ravaged to death by the Emperor of the Demon Dao. That trace of thought power is very weak, and the average Emperor may not really find it, but the 9-pass Emperor, but the third order peak exists. When the Bluebird had just reached out that trace of thought power, he discovered it. Thanks, Brother Bluebird, you are too dishonest. As soon as the tone of the 9 calls fell, a ray of light lit up on the dark fingertips, directly piercing the origin of the Bluebird Hall Master. Fallen instantly. That trace of thought power that protruded from the Bluebird Palace also dissipated. Those casual cultivators are already desperate, and originally wanted to fight for it. Now there is no chance at all. It is too easy to solve them. Jiotong looked at those desperate casual repairs playfully, leaking a disdainful smile. But at this moment, his master's eyes suddenly shrank, and a burst of hot blood spurted out of his mouth. The black blood ran down the corners of the mouth, and his voice hoarsely said, "You." The arm pointed stiffly at Gong Miaoyi, and then crashed to the end. This time it was 9-pass turn to despair. He hadn't reacted yet, just turned his head to see that the master had fallen. Then he saw a casual cultivator that he had never seen directly, standing next to his master's corpse, his hands covered with blood. Jiotong knelt down in shock, begging for mercy. "Senior, forgive me, he threatened me to do this, it has nothing to do with me." This is how the practitioner of the magic way does not care about anything in order to survive. As soon as master was killed, he immediately turned back. At this time, the casual repairs also reacted, backing one after another. All this is so exciting, one wave after another has not settled. This time, they really responded to that sentence. They couldn't suffer, and they had gained insights. Several hidden emperors appeared one after another. And now 2 emperors have fallen. Where to look at this kind of scene? This time, even if it fell, it was worth it. Mia. Jian Wushuang just said one word, as if he spoke with the usual method. Jiotong's body began to dissipate, and then turned into a phantom. Jiotong watched as his body shattered, followed by the rupture of the divine body and the depletion of the source. Before he fell, he understood what kind of powerhouse he had just faced. That is the legendary Peak Emperor. Although it was a wrong guess, Jian Wushuang's life force, killing emperors of this level, was indeed comparable to the methods that existed in the extreme. But really want to deal with Zhu Dian, his method is somewhat stretched. The power of the Absolute Emperor is so terrifying, even if the power of life is special, it is impossible to go beyond the ranks to fight with the extreme. Moreover, the most powerful thing is not only power, but also the perception of space, which exceeds that of ordinary emperors too much. In the black hole realm, reaching the 6th order emperor, and the 6th order emperor wants to step into the extreme state, he needs space to rise to the level of the universe. Or he created his own cosmic secret method. Do one of them and you will be able to reach the ultimate state. As for the indigenous emperors of the 4 great secret realms, their origins are flawed and the space origins are very weak, and it is difficult to reach the universe realm. Therefore, most of the 4 great secret realms have created the secrets of the universe, and the realm of the space origin has been stuck in the realm of black holes. It is extremely difficult to even raise the realm of black holes to the top. Also, these inheritors, their origins were born from the primitive universe. No matter how strong or weak, they are at least complete. But even so, it is still difficult to raise the space to the level of cosmic space. In terms of training time, compared with the emperors of the four secret realms, also suffers a lot, so there are very few superpowers. As a result, the primordial universe didn't have a strong person, not even a sixth-order emperor. In the time and space of Hanoi, sixth-order emperors are rare, most of them are fifth-order emperors. That is to say, when the Temple of Chishan appeared, so many powerhouses would suddenly emerge. However, as time goes by, even if there is no Temple of Chishan, countless powerhouses will be born in the future. The arrival of Temple of Chishan only speeds up the process of this long river of time and space. For example, Shang, before he entered the Temple of Chishan, the space had reached the universe realm, and he also created the prototype of the universe secret law. It is very easy to enter the sixth-order emperor, and it can even quickly enter the ranks of the top powerhouses. It's just that no one taught, and after taking some side roads, there is a real spirit who personally pointed out behind him. Now that the cosmic secret method is Mahayana, the cosmic space is also perfected, and the Lord of the Cosmos is left. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-36. If there is no real spirit's guidance, this process will probably be very long. Jian Wushuang himself did the same. Without the appearance of the Temple of Chishan, there would be no skeletal army, and when the heart strength was not grasped, he accidentally entered the starry sky, and then mastered the extreme way. That is the road that is groped out from the heart. In normal times, even if you throw it to you, you won't be able to cultivate. Among them, there are external reasons and their own efforts, but more people are pushing all this. Push an immature river of time and space to its peak. Can be regarded as encouraging. In the Temple of Chishan, after growing up to the top, there is nowhere to go. There are not even a few tops in the outside world, and the inheritance and chance are very common. This will make them no longer have a sense of crisis when they reach that level, and then stagnate. I don't know if it is good or bad. Jian Wushuang's heart moved, but he was a little prepared for a rainy day. At the moment, the plan is still at the core. It is still far away to master things like the Temple of Chishan. Gong Miaoyi on the side spotted Jian Wushuang's distraction and asked, "Go straight?" Gong Miaoyi turned his head and glanced at the saintly monks. Jian Wushuang nodded and said, "I never kill the weak. Don't forget that this place is far-fetched. Even if you can go out alive, it may take tens of thousands of years. The core of the Bluebird Palace has been destroyed. They have no Bluebird Palace. Protection, it would be nice to survive." But as soon as his words fell, a huge black dragon appeared in the distant sky, rushing towards the two people's position without a single sight. The Bluebird Palace, compared with the dragon, was like a grain of sand and disappeared in an instant. Ancient desolate beast? Jian Wushuang frowned. They shouldn't be so unlucky. First, there was a problem with the Bluebird Palace, and then encountered an ancient barren beast of this level. Some places in the heavens where there are no practitioners are deep wilderness. It is said that it is a deep wilderness, and there is only a wilderness, and there are very few desolate beasts, especially the powerful desolate beasts. Like this barren ancient flood dragon, it has the combat power of a sixth-order emperor, and it is even rarer. Once it appears, I'm afraid it will soon attract a large number of strong people to come and besiege. This is a gluttonous feast. A wild ancient flood dragon, I am afraid it is worth 10,000 cosmic crystals. The Mahayanbody flood dragon in the mature stage. If it were normal, Jian Wushuang would feel that he was the chosen of heaven, and he would be able to encounter this kind of genius treasure in the great wilderness. But now it's different. He was hunted down, but he didn't have time to enjoy this. Its goal is us. Gong Miaoyi frowned. Her strength was only the fifth-order peak, and if it were the sixth-order emperor of the four secret realms, she could still fight. But the wild ancient flood dragon in front of him is not only better than the practitioners of the four great secret realms, but even stronger than some of the sixth-order emperors among the inheritors. According to the strength of the North Tower, this flood dragon probably already has the top level of Tier 6. Similar to Jian Wushuang's current strength. Once entangled, it may be difficult to get out. But if you want to go, it's not that easy. Since you have encountered it, kill it. Jian Wushuang leaked a trace of murderous aura. Sword chi came instantaneously, and the breath that had been ingested burst out instantly. The desolate ancient dragon screamed upwards, hovering in the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Little Dao Jun, dare to be presumptuous in front of this seat. Huang Gu Jiaolong vomited, his huge eyes staring at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang sneered, "It's a beast, do you really think I can't kill you?" The Jueyun sword was pulled out in an instant. He didn't want to waste time, he would fight if he fought, and leave as soon as he failed. The appearance of this barren ancient flood dragon was unexpected, and it was even more strange to see that he was a Taoist monarch. Although he actively leaked his breath, the fierce sword aura was comparable to a sixth-order emperor, and the other party was not surprised at all. There may be some conspiracy in this. It's just that Wu Zhuo has never heard from him, and he doesn't know who is planning behind this. Maybe it's the gods, maybe it's the other powerhouses in the law enforcement hall. But if someone from the law enforcement hall found him, Wu Zhuo must have known it. Jian Wushuang, who was holding the Jueyun sword, took one step, and he had already reached the side of the ancient giant beast. Dead. As soon as he came up, he didn't have any hands left, and if a sword was opened, it would be dead. This sword pierced through the body of the ancient flood dragon. The opponent's size was too large, and the speed was so slow that there was no way to hide. But then Jian Wushuang was stunned. He only knew that the strength of the desolate beast was very strong, and it was not clear which aspect was the specific strength. Now he understands. His strongest sword actually only broke some of the opponent's soft armor, not even a slight injury. This terrifying defensive power, the level of the physical body is probably not lost to the supergrade physical body, and the divine body is even comparable to the emperor who can be 60,000 times the divine body. You! After feeling the wounds on his body, the ancient flood dragon threw up to the sky and roared, "You can break through the scales of this seat, you it." A pitch-black mist sprayed from the opponent's mouth, and the originally dim sky plunged into darkness. In the darkness, the Jiaolong was swimming, and the claws of the Jiaolong suddenly grabbed Jian Wushuang directly. The sharp claws made Jian Wushuang's heart palpitations. In a daze, he saw the claws that used to tear the sky. Then I was overjoyed. This Jiaolong has a relationship with the candle dragon. It is the power of blood. This wild ancient flood dragon must have the blood of the candle dragon, and there are some innate inheritance in the blood, and that inheritance is the claw technique of the candle dragon. At first I thought it was very tricky, and I was going to give up fighting with this dragon. It was better to leave directly, and at his speed, he would be able to get rid of it soon. But this is no longer necessary. It has a blood relationship with the beast god candle dragon. If you can kill it, you may be able to restore the beast god weapon by using the blood and flesh of the opponent. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang, in order to stimulate the opponent, revealed his body and the beasts and soldiers who had lost their power. The candle dragon's wings tremble suddenly, and Yu reading www. Akanshu. Calm directly removed the black fog. Then the wings shook behind her back, and she instantly arrived in Gong Miao's figure and hugged her directly. She could no longer get involved in this level of battle. "You leave first, hand it to me here." Jian Wushuang put down Gong Miaoi, handed him a token and said, "Take it and go north, I will find you soon." Gong Miaoi is not an indecisive person either. After nodding, he still said, "Be careful." Then quickly left here. The wild ancient flood dragon poked out a huge head from the black mist, and black mist was billowing from its rough nostrils, staring at the candle dragon wings on Jian Wushuang's body. Jian Wushuang also noticed the opponent's gaze, and then the candle dragon's inner armor also came out. "And this?" Jian Wushuang shouted angrily. Chapter 55-37. The candle dragon's wings opened instantly, his left arm suddenly clenched his fist, and a striped road appeared on the dark red arm, which contained the power of the beast god. It's just that these lines and wings cannot be linked. At the center of his eyebrows, the eye of the candle dragon also leaked out. The wild ancient Jiaolong became more and more angry as it looked at it, but that was something from its ancestor. But before it was angry, Jian Wushuang first started to move, imitating the claw of the dragon, and the palm of his hand instantly turned into the claw of the candle dragon. In the sky, the black mist was swallowed by 5 spatial cracks. The crack was caused by Jian Wushuang's claws of the beast god. Although it did not have the power of the beast god, it had sufficient life force. This claw, although the other party did not receive any substantial harm, but the insult was great. "Practitioner, you angered this seat, I want you to die." Jian Wushuang sneered, "Aren't you angry at the beginning?" Although the opponent was already a 6th-order emperor, from the perspective of the dialogue, his wisdom was average. It is no wonder that it will be called a desolate beast, not a monster. The ones he encountered in Shihai were Yaozu. It is strange to say that some strong monsters even want to call themselves wild beasts. However, the IQ of Desolate Beast was very low, and it could not be compared with Yaozu at all. The only thing that is strong is his own strength. The monster race is the same as the human race, with a huge ability to multiply, and the understanding is not low, and the speed of multiplying is also very fast. In some primitive universes in the long river of time and space, the situation of all the monster races in the universe has already appeared. Natural selection. In some primitive universes, there are certain errors, and there will be a certain kind of single ethnic common people who are unbalanced in air luck. He was in the same primitive universe, with the human race as the leading one, and there were few monsters who were strong. This is also the drawback of the primitive universe. It was the same when I was in the divine power universe. It's not good to be too single. Divine power and virtual power can actually coexist. If there is a master of the universe, you can directly refine the two into one. It's a pity that they don't have the master of the universe in this long river of time and space. Jian Wushuang was very easy to fight against the ancient flood dragon. Although he could not severely injure the opponent, it was also difficult for the opponent to injure him. Can't even touch him at all. The speed difference is too much. He had walked a long way in the space, and he was able to grasp the realm of the black hole immediately. But this barren ancient flood dragon, even entering the gap of space, must first use brute force to break the void. Very clumsy. Farming. Jian Wushuang appeared behind Jiaolong, his mouth moved, and a huge Dharma photo appeared behind him. That is a symbol of origin. Jian Wushuang looked kind and good-looking with the huge pale green face. That is the source of life. The wild ancient Jiaolong hooked his head, staring at Jian Wushuang with his huge eyes, revealing a trace of panic. That breath, he thought it was the first ancestor who had come. That is the oppressive power of blood. How is it possible? The wild ancient flood dragon couldn't continue and roared, "A trivial human race, how can it suppress the blood of this seat?" After fighting for so long, the opponent has been playing the game of cat and mouse. But he was groping. Explore the other's weaknesses. It is not easy to kill this wild ancient flood dragon. Frontal confrontation is disadvantageous. Can only seek the side by side. In the end, he discovered that it was still related to the power of life, and he was dizzy for a while, or the other party was too stupid, which affected his judgment. This level of barren ancient behemoth is most afraid of bloodline suppression. The force of life is the most overwhelming opponent. "You idiot, I have met my ancestors, but I still don't pay him a visit." Jian Wushuang merged with the Fa, his body changed in an instant, and he suddenly turned into a candle dragon the size of hundreds of thousands of miles. The arrogance is still rising, and the breath of the candle dragon is also very similar. The ancient flood dragon was shocked again. "Ancestor." It couldn't tell the truth from the false for a while. It is a barren ancient flood dragon of the 6th-order monarch level, but it has the power of a candle dragon's bloodline. It has never seen a real candle dragon, and it has only been vaguely felt in the bloodline inheritor. Kneel down. Jian Wushuang turned into a candle dragon with incredibly violent arrogance. There is really a kind of king's breath from the sky. The natural beast gods are all the masters of the pinnacle universe, but they are not kings. When the ancient Jiaolong heard the word kneeling, his 4 claws were so soft that he almost lay on the ground, and then came over clearly, roaring and rushing towards Jian Wushuang, going desperately. Do you dare to fool me? The wild ancient flood dragon was very annoyed. Jian Wushuang shook his head. It was really boring. It felt like fighting with a child. Life universe. The withered vines and rotten leaves in the deep wilderness began to explode with powerful vitality. After a civet cat struggling in the mire felt the strong vitality, originally only one paw leaked outside, and instantly broke free from the mire. The weak little monster beast that had just died of old age, after receiving the power of life, also began to recover and exploded with huge life potential. Sit up in shock from dying illness. It's just that. Within the hundreds of millions of miles shrouded in the universe of life, everything is revived. A weak gas for Jian Wushuang also gathered in his body. This move can not only kill the enemy, but also plunder luck. Rescuing the weak, and the weak will get the original Qi luck from the Qishan temple. Although it is a little trivial, if you use the life universe in some mundane worlds, I am afraid you will get a huge amount of Qi luck. However, he has not yet become an emperor, and luck is a bit of a taste for him, not much help. Moreover, he does not have the leisurely elegance to gather luck. 1 does not refining alchemy, and 2 does not create a clan or power. It is useless to have so much luck, so it is better to improve your strength. It's different in the outside world. Just like Zhen Wuyang in the past, gathering Qi luck, it was because he was already invincible in the Sea domain, there was no room for improvement, and he could only play with Qi luck. After coming to the Temple of Qishan, it was a thrilling inheritance all day long. How can I have time to play this? It's too low level. All beings shrouded in the universe of life are undergoing transformation, but the ancient flood dragon is constantly weakening. The life force was suppressed, and the blood began to dissipate. Without the blood of the candle dragon, the life level was also suppressed, and all abilities were weakening except for the physical body. The divine body declined rapidly. Although the physical body did not have much impact, it also began to lose a lot of vitality. There is no healing power like in the past. In other words, every time he attacked, it would be a huge trauma, which still cannot be healed. Desperate. Jian Wushuang held the Jueyun sword upside down, staring at the ancient flood dragon. He didn't disperse the way of the candle dragon. He just stood in the sky and stared at the barren ancient flood dragon, and his body rushed out. Ready to slaughter. The time for the two to fight is not too fast, and it has been deadlocked for an hour. Chapter 55:38. At this hour of time, the huge aura tilted, and it has attracted many emperors and powerful men roaming in the wilderness. These people are far away, they can feel that powerful aura, and they don't dare to come forward to check, but they have already notified the family or the powerhouse of the sect. Most of those strong men were in the Senate Palace or met the emperors in the Senate Palace, and this matter quickly spread. In the deep wilderness outside Qinghenyozhou, there is a 6th Order Emperor fighting, and the opponent is still a 6th Order Emperor-level desolate beast. Deputy Hall Master Zhong, who has the most intelligence, received the news soon. Now the whole realm arrests Jian Wushuang. As long as it is about the 5th Order or 6th Order Emperor, it will be reported continuously. He was not surprised to receive this news. Qinghenyozhou? Deputy Hall Master Zhong looked cold, took out a piece of jade slip, and began to look at the map of the entire northern border. From Jimen City to Qinghenyozhou, it happened to pass through the wilderness here. It seems that 80% of them are Jian Wushuang. Deputy Hall Master Zhong leaked a smile. Leaving the 8-gate teleportation array, the goal is Qinghenyozhou. Deputy Hall Master Zhong said coldly, "We have to hurry up in front of him and go to Qinghenyozhou first. Everyone will hide their breath when they reach the place. Who should dare expose a trace of breath and exempt the salary of 10 epochs?" Yes. Deputy Hall Master Zhong guessed very accurately. This is actually nothing. There are only a few 6th Order Emperors. Just ask them one by one to understand. Since it is an unfamiliar 6th Order Emperor, the chance of breaking through is very small. Even if the 5th Order Emperor breaks through, there will be news. The appearance of a 6th Order Emperor is a major event in the north. This kind of strong, not to mention the need for comprehensive surveillance, at least to be prepared, tell the details of oneself, and then go to verify it, what if the other party is inserted by the Shadow Zongan? Not to mention the Sixth Order Emperor, that is, many Third Order Emperors are in the archives of the Yuan Lao Palace. Only in this way can we monitor the world, monitor and control the entire northern border. Otherwise, it would have become the back garden of the gods. Just like the realm, except for the middle domain controlled by the temple, the other 4 domains are almost the back garden of the Kimen, which can be said to be everywhere. In Daxia, where Jian Wushuang was originally located, almost the top-level powerhouses have something to do with Kimen. In the entire realm, in terms of comprehensive strength, Kimen even surpassed the influence of the White Tiger Palace. In the Celestial Realm, especially in the North Realm now, it is rare to hear about Shadow Sect forces similar to Kimen. Also, the mundane world is deeply ingrained and difficult to eradicate. Almost all of the people above the gods have been pulled up, and they are still pulled out. For example, if the emperor of a certain sect is related to the Shadow Sect, then the emperor of the entire sect will suffer. The severe ones are directly obliterated, and the marginal figures need to be suppressed in prison. It doesn't matter, it will be escorted to the mine for mining, and will be released after digging enough ore. That is a long time. It is not that the law enforcement hall is too cruel, only this kind of iron blood suppression can be effective. But even so, there are still some that have not been eradicated. The group of people who rescued Jian Wushuang was the emperor whose gods were planted in the palace of the old men. Even the base camp of the Senate Palace can penetrate, and I have to say that the methods of the gods are exaggerated. For rebels, the methods of the law enforcement hall have always been harsh. Especially the Deputy Master Zhong, one of the 2 major deputy masters. He couldn't wait for Jian Wushuang to cast himself into the net. After arranging the countermeasures, they directly transmitted to the supercontinent, Dongzhou continent, in Niuzhou, Qinghe. Their figures are like ghosts and enchantments. On the East State continent, there is a supremely strong man, and even that supremely strong man has not found him. After everything was set up, the Deputy Hall Master Zhong waited for Jian Wushuang's arrival. And he also reported the news to Wu Zhuo. After receiving the news, Wu Zhuo said with satisfaction, "Yes, you must wait for Jian Wushuang to arrive. I will deploy my strength in secret to help you. Remember to save your life and not let the second person know about this plan." Yes. Deputy Hall Master Zhong was also very excited. He couldn't wait to catch Jian Wushuang a long time ago. Grasping Jian Wushuang is not for those cosmic crystals, but to prove oneself. Also has the last trace of dignity as a veteran. But he didn't know, just after telling Wu Zhuo the good news, Wu Zhuo turned his head and informed Jian Wushuang. In the abyss, Jian Wushuang was standing on a huge skeleton. The candle dragon's claws penetrated into the skeleton's skull, and then the astonishing swallowing power directly swallowed all the certain power contained in the skeleton into his body. Then he sealed the power in a jade bottle. Jian Wushuang opened his hands, 3 jade bottles and a small box. The jade bottle contained the blood, bone marrow, and divine body of the ancient dragon, while the box contained the inner alchemy of the ancient dragon, which was equivalent to the origin of the practitioner. These things are all treasures, and if they are sold out, they are all priceless treasures, and only the strongest can afford them. This barren ancient flood dragon, I am afraid that the entire northern border is only one end, and the barrier has been encountered by him. After receiving the news from Wu Zhuo, he was not so anxious, and he left to the north to chase Gong Miaoyi after everything was prepared. With his speed, he can catch up very quickly. Now Deputy Hall Master Zhong, waiting for him in Dongzhou continent, the core area of Qinghe, is indeed a trouble. He originally wanted to go to Dongzhou to devote himself to mining, and then get into the mine to rescue Gong Miaoyi's father. Now it seems that it is not that easy. Since this method does not work, try another method. If Dongzhou is not available, he will go to Qingzhou. However, he has now exposed his position and must find a way to get past it. Jian Wushuang thought a little bit in his heart, and the 2 groups of huge life force broke away from his origin and then rushed in one direction. These 2 groups of life force turned into 2 figures during the flight. One is Jian Wushuang and the other is Gong Miaoyi. They are all clones. Run away? He is professional. Yu reading www.ukanshu.com. Even if Zhu Dian appeared, he could still escape. After the deity caught up with Gong Miaoyi, the two took out an ordinary flying treasure and then disguised as the Blue Bird Palace, heading towards the mainland of Qingzhou. The clone has reached the East Continent at an extremely fast speed. Let's go to Qingzhou. Although there is a slight change in the plan, it has nothing to do with the overall situation. Qingzhou mainland. It is a deserted ancient continent with few practitioners living in it. Zonemen and families are even less pitiful. The entire Qingzhou mainland is larger than Liuzhou, but there is only one medium-sized city. Chapter 55-39. There is only one fourth-order emperor sitting inside. After Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaoyi entered the city, they went straight to the mine team. The mine mountain range covers 10 major states. According to the route, the Qingzhou mainland is much closer than the Dongzhou mainland. In several large states near the mines, there are locations for recruiting miners. Every moment never stopped. After all, it is not enough to capture the emperor alone, but it is very difficult to recruit emperor-level absenteeism and often pay some sky-high rewards, and there are not many. Behind the old palace came up with a way. Any emperor wanted by the law enforcement hall can be revoked as long as he signs up to go to the mine for mining for an era, and he will be paid. Because of this kind of behavior, many emperors have been attracted over the years. And Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaoyi came in this way. Before going, Jian Wushuang specially selected a pair of black and white double evil spirits. These black and white double evil spirits were both Tier 4 top emperors. The two had cultivated a very special skill, and together they could burst out the power of Tier 4 peak. It is very famous in the north. Jian Wushuang got news of the two from Wuzhou, and they were lurking in a barren land in the Qingzhou mainland. If you want to replace the identity of the two, you have to get rid of the other party first, and then search for the soul of the other party to ingest the memory of the other party to be able to better disguise. That's it. Jian Wushuang said indifferently, these two people will pick a place. There are no barren beasts here, and almost no one will come here. Gong Miaoyi took a picture, and the surrounding space was sealed off. Don't leave any traces. Gong Miaoyi's eyes had a light that was more cautious than Jian Wushuang. After all, it has something to do with the rescue of her father. The change of space immediately led to the black and white double evil spirits. The two of them looked shocked. They both hid here, and they were still found. It can only be said that they were unlucky. The female emperor in the black and white double evil spirits was bright and white, and saw the two unfamiliar emperors in front of her, and said loudly, "Two seniors, can you bypass me and my husband? We are willing to enter the mine." The reason why I chose to hide here is not only because it is more concealed, but also because it is very close to the mine. If it doesn't work, I turn around and enter the mine. It's a pity that I made the wrong idea. Jian Wushuang raised his hand, and the sword energy shuttled through the two directly, destroying all the physical and divine bodies, leaving only the origin of rushing away. Why do seniors rush to kill them? It's better to kill the two of me and be willing to serve for life. The white evil female emperor had a strong desire to survive and kept begging for mercy. But Gong Miaoyi was already full of killing intent at this time, and no one could stop it. These two are perfect substitutes, using their identities to enter the mine, and then look for their father. Not only can the people in the law enforcement hall be unable to detect them, they can also further save people through this identity. She will leave it to you. Jian Wushuang then left and went directly in front of the black evil spirit. The opponent's face has an iron face. Although the opponent's body has been destroyed, the iron face has not disappeared, and the original face has not been revealed. Jian Wushuang's empty big hand directly squeezed Haisha, then reached out his other hand, grabbed the iron face, and tugged hard. The opponent fell completely. Jian Wushuang was very surprised. He fell instantly after losing his mask. He was caught off guard. Taking advantage of the fact that the opponent's origin had not completely disappeared, Jian Wushuang urged the swallowing power to swallow all the broken origins into the Sea of Origins. Hey how? This is Haisha's real name. It's just that the origin is broken, the consciousness has also collapsed, and the memories he gets are all incomplete. Can only guess a rough idea. He Hao's life can be said to be very exciting. When Dao Jun, he was a peerless Tianjiao of a certain sect, and the body of Dao Jun was comparable to that of a second-tier emperor. Jian Wushuang was puzzled by such a proud man of heaven, but fell into the devil's way. It is a pity that the memories obtained are all incomplete, and many important memories are shattered and cannot be seen at all. People of the human world. Jian Wushuang's eyes sank. The identity of this black evil spirit is very strange. From the secret world of the human world. The memories of the Taoist monarchs were fairly complete. They were all in a sect in the secret realm of the human world. After becoming an emperor, they were directly the memory of the heavens, and they also inherited the unique knowledge of the black and white divine palace and became the black evil spirit. It took a total of 100,000 years to become an emperor, and he had cultivated to the top emperor of Tier 4. This speed shocked Jian Wushuang. Really a peerless Tianjiao. Dao Jun can be comparable to the second-order emperor, and He Dao is almost the third-order emperor. From the third-order emperor to the fourth-order top in 100,000 years, this is already comparable to ordinary inheritors. Although the memory in the back is a bit broken and the secret things are lost, some people still know what happened. This is enough. Enough to deal with the interrogation of the Yuan Elder Palace. Gong Miaoya's side is smooth after all. There is no mask or foreign treasure on Baisha's face. After searching the other party's memory, Gong Miaoya's hand is rising. The power of Shuelua wiped out the opponent instantly. Jian Wushuang curiously said, "In the other party's memory, there are not many memories of Haisha's life experience." He still held the iron face in his hand. The material of this mask was very special. It was by no means an ordinary treasure, and the material was stronger than the eternal treasure. It just can't stimulate and recognize the Lord. Holding it in the hand is no different from an ordinary mask. But it can be linked to the origin of Haisha, and there must be some secrets in it. Gong Miaoyi looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise and replied, "This white evil spirit seems to be a disciple of the black evil spirit. 100,000 years ago, the white evil spirit was still ordinary. It was the black evil spirit who saved her life. Entering the ruins of the black and white shrine, gaining the inheritance of the black and white Shuangsha, and behind them are the two who harmed the common people together. There is nothing special." Maybe I thought too much. Jian Wushuang shook his head. No problem can be seen on the surface of this iron face, but there is definitely some unknown power hidden inside. After his life force enters, there is a slight movement. Although the movement of a conchu calm was small, he could still feel it. It's just that now he doesn't have the leisurely elegance to explore the real purpose of this mask or hide the strange things of life. He had to clean up the traces of this place with Gong Miaoyi and then head to the only city in the Qingzhou mainland. "Let's go." Gong Miaoyi nodded, followed behind Jian Wushuang, and headed to the only city on the Qingzhou mainland. Only through the residence of the Senate Palace can you go to the mine. The speed of the two is very fast, although they pretended to be the top emperor of Tier 4, but at the speed of the emperor of Tier 4, it took less than 3 days to reach that city. Qingzhou City. One black and one white, without any disguise, he entered the city blatantly. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-40. Someone soon recognized the identities of the two. It's black and white double evil. Go away, don't get caught up. What are you afraid of? There is a strong man in the old palace here, and you are still afraid of the emperor of the magic road? An emperor who understands black and white double evil said in a low voice, "You may not understand these two people. These two ruthless people are even the people of the Senate Palace who dare to kill. There is only one strong man stationed in the Senate Palace in Qingzhou City. Being a Tier 4 peak emperor, I can't hold these two people at all." Once the black and white double evil skills are displayed, they have the strength of the fourth order peak. It is true that he is not afraid of a fourth order emperor in the Yuan Elder Palace. In the Northern Territory, there are very few true senators. Most of them are emperors recruited from the Northern Territory by the Senator's Palace, with the status of deacon in the Outer Palace. The fifth order emperor is the identity of the elder. the real veterans of the Senate Palace, but there are more than 2,000, and half of them are very high-ranking. They don't need to go to the northern border at all. Just stay in the Senate Palace. Unless there is something important, they will go to the northern border, otherwise half. Do not go out. Yuanyang Lake, so many treasures of cultivation, who would go to the north to suffer. Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaoi came to the main hall where the Senate Palace is stationed in this city. There is no teleportation formation here, so it is very remote. It is very good to be able to arrange a fourth-order peak emperor to sit in the town. If there is not a city, the Senate Palace I didn't bother to be stationed. When they entered the city, the fourth-order pinnacle emperor who was sitting here received the news, and then opened the formation in shock, and sent a call to the law enforcement hall. At this time, I found that the black and white Shuangsha did not do anything, but stood calmly in the temple, without any intention to do it, and then dared to come forward. Black and white Shuangsha, why are you here? Don't you know the law enforcement hall is looking for you? Bai Sha disguised as Gong Miaoi said indifferently, we are going to the mine, I don't know if you can do it. Hearing that he was going to the mine, the fourth order emperor immediately changed his face, and the formation was withdrawn. He leaked an amiable face and laughed, come on, please inside, everything is easy to talk about, and also easy to handle. Jian Wushuang's disguised Haisha usually didn't speak, but the iron face on his face was an imitation that he made casually, and he didn't want to take it rashly. Before he could figure out the situation, he had thrown the mask into the Guantian chessboard, using time and space to completely suppress the mask in time. Jian Wushuang was not surprised by the enthusiasm of the other party, he had known the mine in advance. It is difficult to recruit monarch-level absenteeism. Suddenly, 2 Tier 4 emperors came to take the initiative to mine, and they were still rushing to eliminate the wanted warrant. Not only did they help the law enforcement hall lighten the burden, but they also recruited a suitable miner. It was a double happiness. At least the emperor stationed here can stay away for a while. The deacons in the outer palace of the Senate Palace all have tasks. Not only the original salary is gone, but he has to get in. But even so, there are still people who want to have a mess in the Senate Palace. They are mainly backed by the Senate Palace. There will be no shortage of resources in all aspects. No one pays attention to the salary. For example, the fourth order emperor stationed here, he is the Earth Emperor of the Qingzhou mainland. As long as it is a practitioner who comes here, not only doing business, he can't get around him. After Jian Wushuang explained the situation, they waited for the wanted order from the law enforcement hall to arrive. Along with the wanted, there was a notice from Fu Shoutang. A fifth-order emperor came to receive the two in person. Although there was no teleportation array, but it didn't take long. The fifth-order emperor had a flying palace that was eternally treasured. It's almost a year's time. After destroying the wanted warrant, they left Dongzhou with the two of them and went directly to a large state nearby that linked the mine. Northern Hanzhou. As soon as he entered, Jian Wushuang felt a chill. If the Qingzhou continent is like a hot summer day, with fire burning the earth, then Hanzhou is in an icebound world. There is almost no dust on the ground where it touches, only extremely ice and thick snow. Snow is floating in the sky for many years. Here, you two take the token and follow these people to the mine. Remember not to disobey your orders. In the mine, there are many sixth-order emperors, and there is no freedom anywhere. Fu Shoutang's fifth-order emperor, it was very easy to talk, and after explaining to them both, he left. Under the mine. In the continuous team, there are hundreds of emperors alone, and both of them are fourth-order emperors, but they are also conspicuous, because most of them are third-order emperors here. More Dao Jun. The emperor is responsible for mining, and the Taoist is responsible for carrying. The ore that is dug is not simple. Space fire Mingshi. Jian Wushuang's eyes were hot. The space fire stone that rarely circulates in the 4 secret realms, but one day's mining here is enough. You know, in the outside world, a nail-sized fire stone can sell hundreds of millions of square meters of sacred stone. There are already a lot of mines in one day. This is just one of the 3 big mines in the space Huamingshan. And this place is just a hole in the space Huaming Mountain. The infinite space Huaming Mountain has many cave openings. It's just that Hangzhou has only such a hole. A cave entrance, the daily amount of mining is one side, countless years have passed, no one knows how many spatial firestones have been mined. This is the key treasure for refining and enhancing the divine body and the physical body. No matter how much it consumes, the amount of mining for so many years is enough to supply and demand the entire 4 secret realms. Jian Wushuang didn't know that the 3 mines in the 4 great secret realms were once plundered by the gods from the secret realms in the starry sky. In order to these mines, Qixin successively beheaded several universe masters. Even a special life bred from the starry sky has fallen. It's a pity that when these 3 mines were transported, the gods were about to fall, and they didn't come to rush to mine. It's cheaper than their inheritance. Chapter 5541. That was a felony. Not only will all those who have a relationship with him be put to death, but his origin will also be thrown into a prison of 10,000 fires and tortured for a lifetime. That kind of taste can be said to be extremely terrifying. Only this kind of iron-blooded means can be able to hold back those who have the idea of mining. When the temple controlled the northern territory, the management here was even stricter. The few people at the core of the White Tiger Palace are all puppets, but they want to satiate their own pockets. The people below don't even dare to be greedy. Only when the Senate Palace controls this place can they take advantage. It is the entrance of the 2 halls of the Senate Palace in charge of the mine. They are Fushaotang, which collects ore, and Zhenshentang, which is responsible for mining. Not only responsible for mining, but also responsible for guarding. Although there would not be a fool who was so courageous to rush to grab the mine, for safety reasons, especially for storing the mined ores, there are still several 6th-order emperors sitting here. And on the 3 major mines, there are 3 palace masters' law bodies, and each of them has the most powerful magic body sitting on the ground. Once something happens, there is also a special teleportation array that can let the deity descend at any time. The security is very high. Space Firestone is not an ordinary ore. The volume is too large, ordinary mustard seeds cannot be stored, and can only be placed in some treasured containers. Moreover, it cannot be transmitted through the teleportation array, and every requires a palace owner to him personally. It is shipped almost every 100,000 years. Jian Wushuang roughly calculated how many squares it would take in 100,000 years. There are millions of square space firestones at a time, and the value is probably more than 100,000 square cosmic crystals. Such a valuable treasure must be escorted by the most powerful person in person. The value of 100,000 square cosmic crystals, and if they are sold in batches, they may be more valuable. The most powerful among the indigenous people are worth a try. And this time, the pinnacle who escorted the space fire Mingshi was the pro-big brother of the Iron Three, the sword of Changfeng, one of the 3 palace masters. The status is extremely high, although the strength is at the end of the 3 major palace masters. The secrets of the universe have also been created by the Hinayana, and the strength cannot be underestimated. The indigenous people in the 4 secret realms have very few opponents. Now the other party may have left long ago. Jian Wushuang didn't have anything to worry about either. The law bodies of those absolute peaks were all on the top of the mountain, and he would not pay attention to him as a 4th-order emperor. Gong Miaoyi followed the team and began to enter the mine. Outside the cave, 4 teams of powerhouses patrolled day and night, and the 4 great 6th-tier emperors led dozens of 5th-tier peak emperors. With this configuration, the indigenous powerhouses in the cold state could not be broken together. Even if it is a powerful shadow sect who wants to infiltrate, I am afraid that they will be discovered by the people in the law enforcement hall before they reach Hangzhou. Hey Sha, this is your mining tool as well as this cloth bag. Put all the humiliation stones in the mining space. It will automatically record the ore you mine. Your goal is 10 squares. If you have enough, you can leave. Jian Wushuang nodded, did not say anything. Holding a very straight stick-shaped treasure and a small cloth bag, he entered the mine. I will live here in the days to come. If you want to go out, you need to mine enough space for the firestone. The wanted order sent by the law enforcement hall at the time calculated that he had to mine the space firestone in 10 directions to cancel the wanted order. This is Jian Wushuang giving up the mining reward. If you want to get that reward, you need 15 squares of space fire stone. Naturally, he didn't pay attention to that reward. He came here mainly to rescue Nie Yuan. He passed Wu's rotation behind his back, and the mine the two arrived at was the mine where Nie Yuan was located. Saving people is only part of the plan. He wasn't to the point where he had to be saved. If the people of the Shadow Sect found him and wanted to take him to see Fuego, he would just quit and just follow them. Unfortunately, for so long he also left a lot of clues, but there is still no one who has waited for the Shadow Sect. When he was in Giant Gate City, he left some clues, and when he killed that ridiculous ancient flood dragon, he left behind a very heavy power of all things. According to the means of the gods, he should be able to be found. Follow the mine all the way down. The top of the mountain has long been mined, and now only square or is left unmined. And the top is only 10%, the real core of the mine is underground. The figure was straight down, about a distance of hundreds of thousands of miles, before he sank down. The material here is very dense. Even if the Emperor wants to destroy it, he still spends a lot of effort. As for mining, it is not simple. Otherwise, there will be no treasures specially mined. That stick is used to ingest the space fire stone. You need to use your own power to mobilize the treasure and then ingest it. This process is easy to say, but it is like a big battle every day if it is to be mined. This is also the reason why few emperors come to mine mines. The consumption of consciousness and power is too serious, and it will last for hundreds of millions of years, without any help to oneself, and the whole person is still drained. Although the rewards are very generous, it is too trivial to look back at a mine of infinite value every day, and many people will feel unbalanced in their hearts. So over time, fewer and fewer people came. Here, this is where we usually rest. Gong Miaoyi walked in the forefront and stopped. Jian Wushuang followed her gaze, and in front of her was an extremely empty place with a simple dojo. The origin contained in the above is very profound, and it should be the method that was set up here to specifically help them in their cultivation. Jian Wushuang glanced intently, and this image had a blue dragon beast head. Long? This was very surprised. He didn't expect to see the face of the Azure Dragon Palace master here. This may be the dojo where the temple was once set up here, otherwise it would not be so deducted and use one's own law. If it were the rich and powerful veteran palace, it would be possible to directly obtain a master of the universe in order to recruit the emperor of the mining mountain. Dharma images are very easy to refine. Yu reads www.ukanshu.com and then obtains the origin of the universe, and then it can create a simple dojo at the master level of the universe. It's not like it is now, so shabby. Below the law, there are countless futons. On both sides of the dojo, there are some simple palaces with trading places. Another advantage here is that it is very convenient to buy any treasure. In order to give these people some motivation, the ore mined every year has a goal. In 1 year, everyone needs to mine a pound of space flint, and the extra can be exchanged for credit points, and it can also be accumulated in their mission goals. One side is 100,000 caddies. If Jian Wushuang reached the goal every year, it would take 1,000,000 years before he could go out. But it is too difficult to mine 1 caddy a year. End of this chapter. Chapter 5542. Below the 5th Order Emperor. If you want to complete it, some are not possible, some are unlucky, and you won't be able to mine a caddy in 100 years. In the later stage, the strength will weaken, let alone a caddy a year. A caddy for 1,000 years has become a huge goal. Most of those transactions are exchanged for treasures with their own pockets. Don't deliberately inquire about the news, let's explore here for a while. Jian Wushuang whispered quietly. He saw the change in Gong Miaoyi's expression, worried that the other party would leak his feet. If it is recognized at this time, it will be troublesome. Gong Miaoyi recovered a trace of coldness and nodded. The two first took the tokens, and after they received a secret room of their own, they began mining. Starting from the dojo, they can move freely. In order to find out the situation here as quickly as possible, the two chose to move separately. Jian Wushuang entered a small and dark mine. There are many such small mines here, all of which are left by predecessors who have mined countless epochs. Jian Wushuang plunged in. After a few glances, no one was seen. Then continued to move forward. This place is like a maze, where an intersection will appear from time to time, and Jian Wushuang walked for an hour before he reached the end. At the end, there were 3 people who were manipulating the treasure to mine ore, and their brows rose. Jian Wushuang glanced at them. They were all Tier 4 emperors, but the gods were extremely thin and their flesh was sallow. That's a bit more human. Just as Jian Wushuang sighed, a palm appeared on his shoulder. It's you? Haisha. The visitor recognized his identity. Jian Wushuang was shocked. Many of Haisha's memories were broken. He was worried about revealing his identity and did not answer. When he turned his head and saw the face of the opponent, his heart was relieved. It's good to know. Brother Shangyang. Jian Wushuang pretended to be surprised. Why are you here too? You are here, why can't I come? Shangyang smiled and said, Walk, this is not a place to talk. Don't worry about mining, there is time, I will introduce a few good brothers to you. This Shangyang Taoist is very enthusiastic. The two can be regarded as acquaintances, and they have joined forces several times when they were besieged by the right way. They are all devil's practitioners. It's just black and white double evil spirits, gathering evil spirits, cutting all directions. The Shangyang Taoist was once a disciple of the Hehuan Gate. The Hehuan Gate in the back was broken, and he became a casual cultivator. Because he had been plundering the best furnace, he was quickly spotted by the righteous masters. In a siege, black and white Shuangsha also rescued him once. Shangyang took Jian Wushuang to a relatively open place, where several people were mining, and among them there were 2 fifth-order emperors. Come on, Haisha, let me introduce to you, this is the Lord of the Wind City. While introducing him, he boasted, the Lord of the Wind City came earlier than us, but the mining mines are about to come out. The Lord of the Wind City is a handsome man with sword eyebrows and stars. The younger generation is straight and heroic. Hey Shah, I have seen the Lord of Wind City. Jian Wushuang also understood very well. This is to bring him to the dock. It seems that this place is not that simple. Where there are people, there will be fights. And there will be rivers and lakes. Invisible, although there is no fighting, but there is a sense of worldliness. You need to make friends wherever you go. There are more roads when you have friends. Well, I've heard of you, so follow me in the future. There is still a place here, and you can mine with Shangyang. The Lord Feng nodded, and then ignored Jian Wushuang. Shangyang hurriedly helped Jian Wushuang thank him, and then took Jian Wushuang to the corner to start mining the mine. Brother Haisha, there are some things that you don't know yet. In a mine, if you want to quickly mine ores, you need to occupy a favorable terrain. You see, this place is at least 3 times more than where you were just now. Your mining speed will also be faster. Shangyang explained. Jian Wushuang also understood. No wonder he brought him to visit the dock and recognize his eldest brother. It turned out to be for this reason. In the mine, the ore content is not uniform. There are more in some places, and less in some places. The place he just saw belongs to the lowest level mine. This is considered to be a medium level. As for the upper level, it was occupied by those fifth-order emperors. Want to go to that place? At least have the fighting power of a fifth-order emperor. Someone needs to be introduced. Jian Wushuang didn't really care about it, but since it's here, the secret rules still have to be observed. It's better to get into trouble, and there is a risk of exposure. Work hard, we are just here, we will mine a caddy in a year. Shangyang is full of enthusiasm. He is not easy with Jian Wushuang. He was arrested, and he needed to mine the fire stone in 20 square space, and the fastest speed would take tens of thousands of years. Compared with some practitioners who have been sentenced to 100 or even 10,000 directions, there are very few practitioners. As for Jian Wushuang's Shifeng, it is even less pitiful. Jian Wushuang injected a trace of the dark way into the supreme treasure, and then he felt the power of a spatial fire dark stone began to enter this supreme treasure. It's interesting. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He instantly discovered the principle of this. This treasure is called a mining soldier. It is really the best choice for mining. There is actually the power of a black hole inside, which can swallow all matter, and can also wipe out all matter. It can be seen by the naked eye that all the space firestone and other substances on the stone wall are swallowed, and then the debris is removed, leaving only the space firestone particles. Those particles are very small. As for the power consumed by oneself, if calculated according to the ordinary fourth-order emperors of the four great secret realms, it would indeed take a year to devour a pound of space firestone. But that is in a state of not resting. At the beginning, it can indeed be swallowed continuously, let alone a year. It will be fine without stopping for 100 years, but in the later stage, it will take a few years to cultivate for a period of time. A lot of time will be wasted in the middle. This also caused many emperors to wear down their consciousness, and even a pound of space firestone could not be mined in 100 years. According to the news he got from Wuzhou, Nie Yuan has been here for 50,000 years. Nie Yuan was sent to the mine because he offended the Shao family in Hanzhou. Yu reading www.akeanashu.com. The Shao family is a superpower that has emerged in recent years, and the reason is still because of a son-in-law of the Shao family. This son-in-law's background is not small. Jian Wushuang was surprised when he knew it. Wu Shan's deputy hall master, a deputy head of the law enforcement hall, was actually willing to join an aboriginal emperor family. The Shao family was originally a famous sect, but it could only be regarded as a superpower in Hanzhou. With Wu Shan's influence behind, it could become a superpower in the Northern Territory. With this level of relationship, the Shao family can walk sideways across the entire northern border. Nie Yuan was also unlucky. He brought his disciples to Hanzhou for meditation. The enchantment disciple provokes a child of the Shao family, who is regarded as Wu Shan's brother-in-law. The other party saw Nie Yuan's disciple, Qin Luo, at a glance. Chapter 55-43. With Nie Yuan's nature, it would be good if he didn't kill the other party. If he really wanted to kill, I'm afraid he would also fall away now. He just abolished the other party's cultivation base and let Wu Shan's brother-in-law leave. People from the law enforcement hall personally arrested Nie Yuan, and the disciple was sent to Shao's house. Hearing that Nie Yuan is now even more melancholy. In the early years, the Taoist couple fell pregnant while pregnant, and the disciple was looted by the stubborn ones, and he was trapped in the mine. Moreover, Nie Yuan's mission is a 10,000 square meter space firestone, and it is difficult to get out in a few eras. However, Nie Yuan's perseverance is very strong. Now he has dug a party for 50,000 years. Hard work. Jian Wushuang couldn't help sighing. Fortunately, his daughter is still alive and there is no need to reverse time and space. And Gong Miaoya's strength is very good. After this time, he can recommend it to the Tomb Mountain. Although he hadn't been there himself, as long as Fo Yigo's scourge was solved, Zhenling should give him face. Moreover, the future temple of the gods, all belong to him, a place in the Tomb God Mountain, nothing more, a trivial matter. While digging, Jian Wushuang had a relationship with the two fifth-order emperors, mentioning the fifth-order emperors in the mine from time to time. Seeing that Jian Wushuang was very on the road, Fengqing Master deliberately handed some spatial fire mixture into his hand. He was happy in his heart, and he was willing to talk about it. The mine we are in is called Qiankuan Cave. There used to be a big man, the second ancestor of the Shao family, the ancestor of the Taoist named Qiankuan. In the temple era, he once was here to supervise the mining of mining mountains. It took 3 epochs to open up this universe cave mansion. The Lord of the Winds city looked yearning. To be able to open up a mine, it is a great achievement. No wonder the Shao family can dominate Hanzhou. This is only the second ancestor. That first ancestor can pay it off. In addition, Wu Shan is a big backer, and it is comparable to the Nayland family of the land boundary, a digital 6-level land boundary, and the supreme ancestor. It's a pity that the Nayland family was too rampant and was destroyed by the palace master Qinglong. The Shao family can always be safe. With the great Buddha of Wu Shan, no one dares to move the Shao family. The Northern Territory, speaking of it, is the back garden of the law enforcement hall, with too much power. The entrances of the Senate's halls only rob treasures, but don't care about the chassis, so the law enforcement hall is dominated. Anyone or things that are in contact with the law enforcement hall can walk sideways. Many inheritors are also willing to accept some of the missions of the law enforcement hall, even if they cannot be completed, there will be no danger. Those Demon Dao monarchs dared to kill the external deacons of the Senate Palace, but did not dare to kill some of the deacons in the law enforcement hall. Once they were killed, they would be on the kill list. If it is a Fourth Order Emperor, the Fifth Order Emperor will be dispatched to chase and kill, and the Fifth Order Emperor will dispatch a Sixth Order Emperor. If it is a Sixth Order Emperor, Wu Zhuo will personally take action. With this kind of iron and blood, no one dared to offend people in the law enforcement hall. The Shao family is indeed not simple, its own strength is not weak, and even on the big ship of the deputy head of the law enforcement hall, it will not fall at all. After chatting with that Fengqing master for a while, Jian Wushuang began to mention the Shao family intentionally or unintentionally. The Lord of the Wind City sighed. People in the world say that we are practitioners of the magic way, but those righteous way families are clean? I can't see it. That. Jian Wushuang said, it's just the reason for standing in line. If there is some relationship with the law enforcement hall, I'm afraid I won't be in such a place. Thanks. It's good to understand early. If the water in the north is not deep or shallow, I will leave the north when I get out of the mine. This place is not suitable for trespassing. The family is the only one, and there is no chance for me to wait. The Shao family went to be a dog with the law enforcement hall like that. The Lord of the Wind City had unwillingness in his voice. In the area where the temple is located, there is at least a balance between righteousness and evil, there is no such overwhelming power, and the temple is relatively fair. But the north is different. Jian Wushuang pretended not to open his mouth and asked, how can you see the words of the city lord? Shao family? Feng City Master sneered, if it was before I still admire it a little, but now, I've already caused anger and resentment. You should know that the eldest lady of the Shao family, she is the eldest lady of Hall Master Wu Shan, one of the two deputy hall masters of the law enforcement hall? Jian Wushuang nodded and replied, I know this, but it doesn't seem to be the direct line of the Shao family. It is indeed not a direct line, but after Wu Shan is on the list, it is not a direct line but also a direct line. Even her family has become a direct line. What her younger brother does is no different from the magic way, but has always been at large. Said and shook his head. The things that the Shao family did, even the cultivators of the magic way couldn't stand it anymore. It was indeed outrageous. The Lord of the Wind City seemed a little tired, put away the mining soldiers, found a clean place to sit down, and then took out a strange stick that was rolled up with good fruit leaves, his nails raised a ball of flames, and directly blasted it. Ignite! After taking a sharp sip, Feng City Lord handed Jian Wushuang, and said, let's take a couple of mouthfuls. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. He had never been interested in this special hobby, but took out a small square table and made a pot of tea. The two were at ease when they tasted tea. Under his constant temptation, City Lord Wind finally talked about Nye Yuan. Although he already knows the general idea, he still knows very little about the details. It turned out that at the beginning, Nye Yuan not only abolished the brother-in-law of the deputy hall master of Wu Shan, but also fought against the contemporary family of the Shao family. The contemporary family of the Shao family is also a highly prestigious Fifth-Order Peak Emperor, who fought with Nye Yuan quite a bit. Although his family was abolished, the Shao family had long been unable to pass it, so they didn't embarrass Nye Yuan and let them go. However, Shao Feng was reluctant and unforgiving. Ukanshu. Kam went to the sister's side to complain, and used the power of the law enforcement hall to suppress Nye Yuan. Nye Yuan's disciples were also taken away. It's sad to say that the patriarch of his own family didn't want to take care of this matter. If it weren't for Wu Shan's reasons, he wouldn't even make a move, and Nye Yuan was let go afterwards. Helplessly, the power of the law enforcement hall was too strong, and directly dispatched a Sixth-Order Emperor to suppress Nye Yuan. It was precisely because of this incident that the Master of the Wind City was completely disappointed in the north, and he was ready to leave after leaving the mine. Jian Wushuang sighed and said, Nie Yuan and the contemporary patriarch of the Shao family are worthy of the right way, and I admire them very much. I also admire it very much. I heard that Nie Yuan is still very young and used to be the sword chief of the Shangqing Palace. It's just a pity. If the Shangqing Palace is still there, I'm afraid it won't be like this. The Lord of the Wind City continued, By the way, Nie Yuan will often practice in front of the dragon, and I will recommend it for you when I have time. He is not too hostile to our demon cultivators. Chapter 55-44. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and said excitedly, Then thank you, City Lord. Small things. The two got up and continued mining. Jian Wushuang didn't leave in a hurry to find Nie Yuan. The place was huge, and the small hole was like a hornet's nest. It was not easy to find Nie Yuan. And going to Nie Yuan at this time will definitely reveal his identity. His two clones have been discovered, and Deputy Hall Master Zhong is probably looking for him frantically at this time. And this place is the chassis of Wu Shan's Deputy Hall Master. I am afraid that a net of heaven and earth has long been laid. If there is a suspicious person around Nie Yuan, he will definitely think of him. He had already told Gong Miaoi about this. Don't worry. Be patient. At least wait for the gods to contact him secretly before breaking the jar. Only with the help of the gods can we fight against the strong who sit here. The deity of the three major palace masters can come at any time, and the gods really want to take him, unless Fui Yigo is allowed to come in person. At that time, everything was handed over to the true spirit, and he was considered to have completed the task. Unfortunately, everything is not that simple. Hangzhou, Jingguang City. Inside a mansion of the Shao family. Brother Zhong, I heard that you took the air in Dongzhou. Wu Shan was sitting in the main seat, and there was a beautiful woman beside her. She was overwhelmed by her every move. It was the Shao family who made Wu Shan's family. Mississippi Deputy Hall Master Zhong, his expression unchanged when he heard Wu Shan's ridicule, he just took a sip of tea and said calmly, Wu Shan, don't talk cold words, I am different from you, Jian Wushuang, I must catch it. Thanks, Tusk, it sounds like I didn't work hard. Wu Shan sneered and shook his head. Although the two have never circumvented anyone, the relationship is not usually subtle. Wu Shan's original companion, the elder sister of the Deputy Hall Master Zhong, was just that the older sister died because of the construction of the Temple of Qishan in ancient times. Otherwise, Wu Shan dared to marry his little wife, he would have to smash the other's head. Even if my sister is gone now, it is very uncomfortable to see that Wu Shan has a new love. In the mine, how is it now? Deputy Hall Master Zhong turned to the topic. In his opinion, Jian Wushuang had entered the mine 80%, and it was probably the Huaming Mountain enhance his space. Wu Shan took out a jade slip from the mustard seeds, handed it over, and said, This is the list of personnel who have just entered the mine recently. I am going to take them all, not one. In the 10 years or so, about tens of thousands of people entered the Huaming Mountain in space, among which there were 1,242 emperors. Almost all the rest are Taoists. Although Deputy Hall Master Zhong has very hard means, his heart is ruthless. But because Jian Wushuang directly killed all these people, he still had some scruples. It is not because of soft heart, but because of the honor of the law enforcement hall. He is a little different from Wu Shan. That is, he will never humiliate the reputation of the law enforcement hall. All these people were killed, how should I explain? We can't announce to the public, I would rather kill 10,000 by mistake than let one go. At that time, I am afraid that some people with ulterior motives will follow the gourd to draw a scoop, and all of them have done this. What is the difference between their law enforcement hall and the magic way? Let's watch the tide in secret. Deputy Hall Master Zhong stood up, walked straight out, and said as he walked, Don't underestimate Jian Wushuang, his body is very special, maybe he has changed his identity. Sitting on the main seat, Wu Shan froze for a moment, and said in surprise, It's not so evil, right? There is the origin of the universe in the mind that is monitoring everything. Can he block this? Nothing is impossible, don't forget he is just a Taoist. Deputy Hall Master Zhong left this sentence, and then left Jingguang City with someone. He is not as leisurely as Wushan. Since it can't be found, then kill the chicken to get the eggs, and first go to control Nie Yuan. After receiving Tai San's fall, the sword Changfeng learned that Jian Wushuang had also taken Gong Miaoyi away, so he guessed that Jian Wushuang would definitely go to the mine to rescue Gong Miaoyi's father. He directly notified Deputy Hall Master Zhong. It's just that this matter is under the supervision of the Law Enforcement Hall. Even if he is the palace owner, he can't intervene. The younger brother was killed and the Taoist companion was robbed. This is an unshakable hatred. I can bear it without committing suicide. Inside the mine, Deputy Hall Master Zhong guessed very accurately, Jian Wushuang really planned to change his identity at this time. That Wind Castle Master is very suitable. He confided a lot of words from the opponent, and now he was short of a chance to obliterate the opponent in an instant. This place has a very strong power of rules, and Jian Wushuang is not easy to start for a while. In a blink of an eye, 10 years passed, and these people began to return, ready to go back and fix it, and continuous mining is too much to bear. The master of the Wind City received the goods very well this time, with a total of tens of kilograms. Not only did he complete the target task, he also got some credit. Now Jian Wushuang could be regarded as following the other party, and naturally left together. At the same time, he also transmitted to Gong Miaoyi and asked her to come together. At this time, you can't go to Nie Yuan to recognize his father, or he will be found out by the Law Enforcement Hall and everything will be over. Gong Miaoyi was waiting there when he returned to the Longxiang dojo. Wind City Lord, let me introduce to you, this is my Taoist companion, Bai Sha. Jian Wushuang walked in front, pulled Gong Miaoyi over, and introduced her to the Wind City Lord. The Lord of the Wind City leaked a smile and exclaimed, "Well, yes, no wonder you two can make some famous names in the Northwest area, and you are almost reaching the top of Tier 4 in strength, work hard." The two thanked them, and then followed Fengqing Master to hand in the space Huamingshi. The place where the Space Fire Underworld Stone is delivered is a weak black hole. You only need to throw the Mind Space Underworld Stone into it, and then the amount will appear on your token. This black hole can only be thrown in but cannot be taken out in one direction. No one knows where the black hole is connected, only that some emperors who can't stand it will jump in when they want to escape from here. Second, the corpse of the sky will hang next to the dragon. Jian Wushuang, who was still paying attention to Space Huamingshi, also gave up. It's impossible at all. His little tricks are not enough. What he thought was too simple, this is not the treasure house of Shenyuan family, this is one of the most important treasures of the 4 secret realms. How could it be so easy to get in? After delivering all the space fire stones, the few people dispersed separately, agreed on the time for the next mining, and returned to their own secret rooms. In fact, it is relatively free here. You can also choose not to mine, but not to mine means that you will never be able to go out. Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaoyi entered the same secret room, and then set up an enchantment. This was not over yet. Jian Wushuang's thought power penetrated into Gong Miaoyi's origin. The two sat opposite each other in the source, and began to talk about what they had inquired about. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-45. I saw my father. Gong Miaoyi's complexion was a little pale, and when he said this, there was no trace of excitement, but rather depressed. Jian Wushuang didn't ask about Nie Yuan's affairs, but cared, what's wrong? Speaking of holding the opponent's hand, his eyes were very gentle. Those bastards, they actually made things difficult for my father. Gong Miaoyi's eyes instantly turned red. When she saw Nie Yuan, she felt sad. The ore that Nie Yuan needs to mine in order to go out is an astronomical number, and it can't be done without a few epochs. But even so, there are still some people who deliberately make things difficult for Nie Yuan. According to common sense, Nie Yuan is also the 5th Order Peak Emperor, and few people dare to fight Nie Yuan's attention. Except for those emperors who mine ores, the rest are those guards. Since Jian Wushuang came in, he had only seen a few guards from a distance. All of them were Tier 4 monarchs, but they had special spirit rings in their hands, linked to some vicious emperors, and could subdue each other at any time. Like the black and white Shuangsha, the demon cultivator who came in on the initiative would not be brought into the spirit ring. But those who are caught are not so lucky. Not only will they have the balance of spirit ring, they will even be forced to mine ores. But even so, as long as the mining is honest, the general guards will not suppress these people at will. It seems that someone behind the scenes made a move deliberately to make things difficult for Nie Yuan. Jian Wushuang patted Gong Miaoyi on the shoulder and comforted, "Don't worry, it won't be long before we can go out together." To say so, he is not sure at all in his heart. The gods have been slow to contact him and don't know if the other party didn't care about him at all or didn't worry about him. His power has undergone a qualitative change, and the power of life has been formed. This power is known to the dome. If he is connected with the dome, he must know his special place. He is now completely able to help Foi Ego recover to the top. This is a huge temptation. There is only this opportunity. Once he succeeds in harmony, he will soon be able to enter the ranks of the top. At that time, it will be difficult to catch him. Too much. Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart, still worried. His journey has indeed gone smoothly. He had known it a long time ago and deliberately had a battle with Deputy Hall Master Zhong and others. But in that case, if he was not careful, he would have finished playing, and he would be escorted to the Senate Palace again. When he was suppressed by the law enforcement hall, it was just a small fight. This time he was caught back, but it was not a small fight. I am afraid that even acting, he will be sent to prison in a certain time and space. Otherwise, the gods will definitely be suspicious. If that were the case, the plan would have failed. He doesn't know what the gods are doing now, but the law enforcement hall has already begun to work in the mine. There was news from Wuzhua just now that Wushan had passed up the list of personnel who had entered the mine for nearly 10 years, and was requesting that all these people be killed. Wuzhua meant to change his status. These people must be killed. Reluctant to bear children, can't catch wolves. At that time, he will arrange for an unwarranted charge to be executed in secret. It will not be announced directly to the outside world, but it will let the gods know about it. After all, this is also for the other person. After comforting Gong Miaoyi, Jian Wushuang announced his plan to change his status. The target is those people of Wind Castle Master. Gong Miaoyi has no opinion on this. Now as long as it is the father who can rescue her, anything is fine. Then Jian Wushuang left Gong Miaoyi's secret room. After returning to his secret room, Jian Wushuang began to talk to Wuzhua about Nie Yuan. See if you can find some breakthrough points from the opponent. Killing a group of emperors and princes who have just arrived in the mine, this bargaining chip is a bit small. Nie Yuan was a good bargaining chip, but Jian Wushuang emphasized that he wanted to save the opponent's life. Can't unload the mill and kill the donkey. Although he was only acting with Gong Miaoyi, he didn't want to use the other party and killed her father. This matter is too wicked. Even if he doesn't value the luck of becoming an emperor, but for the sake of his reputation, he still has a bottom line. But he didn't know that Gong Miaoyi now had no bottom line in order to rescue his father. And his so-called guarding bottom line has become very funny. After Jian Wushuang left, a grimace appeared in Gong Miaoyi's blood Luo Jing. That is her ultimate eternal treasure. At the beginning, even Triathlon was very jealous when he saw it. The ultimate eternal treasure, it is rare, and few people of the Sixth Order Emperor have it. Generally in the hands of Juding. Even if Tai-san is in a high position and worth a lot of money, there is no ultimate eternal treasure. What I use on my body is just a set of top eternal treasures. The ultimate eternal treasure, it is the ultimate treasure that cannot be found. You can't buy it if you want to buy it. Most of the ultimate eternal treasures in the 4 secret realms are owned by the owner. The number in the hands of the Sixth Order Emperor does not exceed the number of one hand, and the rest are in the hands of absolute top. Of course, there are still a lot of eternal treasures in the Qishan Temple, but they are all in the Vermilion Bird Temple, and generally they will not be taken out. It is impossible to buy, especially the veterans of the Senate Palace. Those top eternal treasures are reserved for inheritors. If the inheritors want to get it, they need to make great efforts. Gong Miaoyi was able to obtain this supreme eternal treasure at the beginning. It can be said that luck is against the sky. Among them, there has long been a deity's arrangement, and now it appears to be useful. The face of Grimace is very ugly. If Jian Wushuang sees it, it will be easy to find that the owner of that face is a god. Jie, Gong Miaoyi respectfully bows down. Silly girl, you were deceived. You are just in the hands of Jian Wushuang and Wu Zua. Do you really think Jian Wushuang will help you? They began to induce. In fact, what was said was the truth, and even showed evidence. The rules here can't affect me, let you see how your lover told Wu Zua. The grimace trembled, and then turned into a starry sky scene. In the starry sky, there were two consciousnesses, which was exactly the scene where Jian Wushuang had just talked with Wu Zua. Although I can't hear what they are talking about. But this is enough to show that everything is an illusion. Robbery, snatching relatives, and fleeing. All fake. Gong Miaoyi's eyes trembled and her lips turned pale. Ever since she escaped from the Yuan's palace with Jian Wushuang, this grimace has been following her, constantly inducing her. But she never believed that this time when the other party appeared, she originally wanted to ask the other party to save her father, but she saw the scene before her. Fake. Gong Miaoyi muttered. This blow still hurt her a bit. Originally, she was about to completely believe in Jian Wushuang, but now that she learned the true thoughts of the other party, she didn't know whether it was sad or happy. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-46. Sadness and joy are indescribable feelings. If she had seen Jian Wushuang's wolf ambition clearly, it would be a happy event. Sadly, she was already tempted. She even imagined that she rescued her father and lived the life of the three together. All this turned into a bubble. Gong Miaoyi crouched on the ground, paused, and then respectfully said, I also ask Senior to help the junior rescue his father. I am willing to do everything. Okay. As long as you agree, those who make things difficult for your father will disappear immediately. They was overjoyed. The investment in Gong Miaoyi finally saw a return. The guidance along the way has now been completely won. He really valued Jian Wushuang, especially after Jian Wushuang discovered the giant egg. He began to plan how to catch Jian Wushuang. Unexpectedly, this time, it could be delivered to his mouth. Want to calculate me? The spirit leaked a sneer. It's far worse. He is a god, an omnipotent god. Although trapped in the first prison, there is always his shadow in the 4 secret realms. Little girl, you only need to put these 6 spirit flags into the 6 designated places. When I grab Jian Wushuang, I will send you and Ye Yuan to the realm, where someone will shelter your father and daughter. 2. They said sincerely. Gong Miaoyi had no choice. She didn't want to wait any longer. Besides, who knew that Jian Wushuang had thought about saving her father? Everything is a chess piece. Maybe she will be abandoned if she is used up. After Gong Miaoyi put away the 6 soul flags, the grimace disappeared. Before disappearing, they did not forget to remind, remember, don't believe anything about Jian Wushuang, he is a complete liar. Others don't know, but the gods are very aware of the nasty things Jian Wushuang has done. On the other side, Jian Wushuang just broke the sound transmission with Wu Zua, and he sneezed, always feeling obedient there, and his mind was a little turbulent. Could it be that the gods noticed me? Jian Wushuang muttered to himself, it is really possible. He had asked Wu Zua to find a way to contact Ye Yuan, and wanted the other party to cooperate with them. Now there is only such a way. You cannot kill. Can only win each other. In the corner of the mine, the guards around Ye Yuan suddenly dispersed for some reason, and were not going to make things difficult for Ye Yuan. Ye Yuan was surprised at this, but didn't think much about it. His will was very firm and he must go out from here. He also had to go to the Tomb Mountain, where he could reverse the time and space to revive his Taoist companion. But at this moment, a consciousness entered his body. Ye Yuan. The voice is very familiar to Jian Wushuang, and Zheng Wuzhua personally transmits it. At present, only 3 people know about this matter, and Ye Yuan is now the 4th. The first 3, Zhenling, Wuzhua, and Jian Wushuang, joined forces, and the entire temple of Qishan was in danger of destruction. Ye Yuan, a 5th-order emperor, was very lucky to be able to know such top-secret things, and it was still a matter of safety with the Qishan temple. This time, as long as the plan is successful, the resuscitation of his Taoist companion will be a trivial matter. Don't just revive a person. Those emperors who have fallen in the 4 secret realms can all be revitalized. Unless it is the collapse of the mind and consciousness, it can be resurrected. True spirit has this method. It is easy to resurrect a 4th-order emperor. Gong Miaoy's mother was just a 4th-order peak emperor, and could not consume much power from the Sea of Origin. When Ye Yuan heard the voice in his mind, the whole person was stunned. He thought he had auditory hallucinations. He was shocked. The emperor and the strong man appeared auditory hallucinations. This was probably because his mind was fragile. It's a dying performance. There are still many things he has not done. How dare to die, and there is still no epoch since he was born. How could his mind and consciousness show signs of weakness? Don't be surprised. From the Senate Palace, not named Wuzhua, Nye Yuan was a little surprised when he heard that it was from the Yuan Palace, and then a little angry. He was murdered by the people in the Senate Palace. Now that his apprentices are still robbed, he hates the Senate Palace, especially the people in the law enforcement hall, for a long time. Wuzhua. Nye Yuan didn't answer yet, but he remembered the name of this familiar and terrifying person. Wuzhua. This name is very resounding in the Northern Realm, or in the entire Celestial Realm. If the 2 deputy heads of the law enforcement hall are 2 executioners, then Wuzhua is the Yama who judges sentient beings. Not to mention how horrible the other party is, just why Wuzhua would look for him, this is a very delicate question. But Wuzhua didn't give Nye Yuan a chance to speak at all. For Wuzhua, the other party was a small person. If Jian Wushuang wanted to protect him, he would be lazy to find an indigenous emperor to explain. Everything I say next, you must listen clearly, don't ask, don't have any doubts, you just need to do what I say. Wuzhua's tone is very domineering. Nye Yuan didn't want to take this set, and immediately replied, Don't say you are Wuzhua, you are the palace lord of the Yuan Lao Palace, no matter right or wrong, it is no different from the magic way, don't talk about it, I have everything won't agree. When these words were said, it was Wuzhua's turn to be surprised. When did an indigenous emperor dare to talk to him like this? Don't you be afraid? He is Wuzhua, the hall master of the law enforcement hall, a disciple of the gods, the pinnacle of existence, and the 3 major palace masters are not his opponents. Had it not been for the fact that the Senate Palace was a true spirit's personal power, he would have beaten the 3 palace masters in turn. It was just 3 slaves who had been looted and built the Temple of Qishan. How could they have the right to sit on an equal footing with him, let alone, now that he is not qualified to sit on an equal footing, this is the most hateful. If he had the temper in the past, he would not bother to enter the Senate Palace, but now because of the appearance of the true spirit, he has deprived him of his discipleship. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the same relationship with those in the Senate Palace. Now he was scolded by an indigenous emperor, and he still didn't know how to answer the other party. This is the most aggrieved. Had it not been for Jian Wushuang's face, he would have pinched Nye Yuan to death. For the sake of big plans, for the sake of the overall situation. Can only bear it. Listen, Nye Yuan, the next thing is related to your daughter. Wuzhua's voice sank. Then he concealed part of the plan slightly and told Nye Yuan. Particular mention is made of Gong Miaoy. Nye Yuan was completely stunned. His daughter is still alive? And it's in this mine. Daughter. There was a hint of warmth from the bottom of my lonely heart. His daughter is still alive, but her mother has fallen, but Wuzhua also promised him that as long as he cooperates, not only can he get out from here, but he can also go directly to the 2 Mountain and resurrect his Taoist companion. Chapter 55-47. The previously slim chance of hope is now in sight. How could Nye Yuan let it go, and immediately agreed. At this time, Jian Wushuang followed Fengqing Master and others towards the place where the ore was originally mined. This time, we will take 10 years as a time limit. We will take a break every 10 years. We will be free after a short period of time. The Wind City Lord chuckled and the group was very motivated. Jian Wushuang blended into it, and he was also looking forward to it. But Gong Miaoy was a little uneasy. When looking at Jian Wushuang, his eyes also changed. It's just that Jian Wushuang's mind doesn't know Gong Miaoy's body now, and he hasn't found it. After going to the mine, a few people started mining silently. Gong Miaoy found a remote corner to mine alone. Mining the magic weapon, within a month, a small hole can be made in the rock wall. Gong Miaoy buried the soul flag in it. Only in this mine, there is only one location designated by the gods. For the remaining locations, you need to go to other places. In order to prevent outsiders from doubting, Gong Miaoy said to Jian Wushuang, "I'll go and see elsewhere, you don't have to worry about me." Jian Wushuang knew what she was thinking about. She must be worried about Nie Yuan, and didn't doubt it, just nodded to remind the other party to be careful. Gong Miaoy was disdainful in his heart. Jian Wushuang's concern now seemed disgusting to her. Without a trace of true feelings, everything is calculated. Mouthful of benevolence, justice and morality, full of wickedness in the belly. After Gong Miaoy left, Jian Wushuang received Wu's transmission again, and Nie Yuan had already arranged it. The drama of father and daughter recognizing each other is about to be staged. But in advance, Wu had arranged for Nie Yuan to arrange a large formation, and it would not be easy for the people in the law enforcement hall to win them. I hope that the gods will end in the hands of the match, otherwise the plan will be ruined this time. They only have a quarter of an hour. There are only 3 sixth-order emperors here. They are all native emperors, with average strength. He can deal with it alone as long as there is a 6th-order peak emperor from the outside world, and he is also the veteran of the Senate Palace. This one will be there within 3 breaths. As for the law bodies of the 3 palace masters, it is the palace master Lu Hua who sits here. Although Jian Wushuang is already wanted on the face of it, he will not be too ruthless, and it will definitely be delayed for a while. Moreover, this matter is being handled by the enforcement hall. As long as it does not threaten the mine, it should not take action. It's the people from the law enforcement hall who will arrive in a quarter of an hour. Everything is within this quarter of an hour. If the gods are really unprepared for anything, then they can only recognize it and work for nothing. Jian Wushuang was mining on one side, while the deity came out of his body on the other. With a trace of thought power, he began to find the location of Nie Yuan. The war is about to start. Nie Yuan is already looking for Gong Miaoy now. That is a faint transformation of the soul. Another soul flag was injected into the mountain. Only the last one is left. Gong Miaoy held his breath, not daring to stop. Even she did not hesitate to use the origin of the 5th-order peak to forcibly mine, and she was able to mine a small hole in an instant. Then put the flag in it. Another place. Gong Miaoy followed the guide and looked for. She didn't know that, with a trace of thought power, passing by her. At this time, Gong Miaoy was desperate and seemed very panicked. The deity of Jian Wushuang in the power of mind saw Gong Miaoy's heart sinking. Although he didn't know what happened, he had a bad feeling in his heart. Forget it, the real spirit is the best, she won't be able to turn over any waves if she doesn't come. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed a bit of fierceness, this time he was careless. Now that there is some discrepancy with the plan, Gong Miaoy's strange behavior must be related to some people. It may be the law enforcement hall, or it may be the gods. It's hard to say. Jian Wushuang manipulated Nian Li and continued to move forward. He was going to find Nie Yuan. Take the other party to find Gong Miaoy to recognize each other. This time, directly broke the jar. Here, sooner or later, people from the law enforcement hall will find out, and if they have not rescued Nie Yuan, the gods will be suspicious. He didn't know that the plan this time seemed to be seamless, but it was actually in the hands of the gods. Void, in a gap of silence and darkness. Click. A thunderstorm flashed by, illuminating the gap in the darkness, and light flashed by, and there were tens of thousands of people gathered here quietly. Each is an emperor, and he is also the strongest among emperors. They are all 5th-order emperors. Thousands of 5th-order emperors, the Yuan Lao Palace and the White Tiger Palace have such a large scale. These gods arranged for the strong here. Now, just waiting for Gong Miaoy to arrange the formation, and then rushed into the mine in one fell swoop. If you fly in slowly from the periphery, I am afraid that you have not seen the mine yet. It will attract the top powerhouse of the Senate and kill them in one fell swoop. This time, the gods gathered all the members of the Celestial Shadow Sect, and there were 5 strongest members alone. There are dozens of people in the 6th Order Peak Emperor. There are also hundreds of emperors at the top level of Tier 6. This force can sweep anywhere except the temple and the palace of the elders. The mine is no exception. Even if Lu Hua's deity came in person, he couldn't hold it. Lightning flashed. These people's faces were very pale. They had just accepted a special inheritance. Soul Road's secret method. Soul where? An ancient buzzing sound rang. These people seemed to have received orders, and they took the initiative to dissolve their physical and divine bodies. Go, grab Jian Wushuang, all the others will be killed, not one left. Yes, mine. Jian Wushuang spared a large circle, and finally saw Nye Yuan, and then he didn't pretend to be, and directly transformed into the appearance of the deity. Nye Yuan. Hearing his name, Nye Yuan was stunned, because the voice calling his name was familiar, as if he had heard it somewhere. Then he turned his head to look. Jian Wushuang. When he saw Jian Wushuang, he was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the inheritor Wu Zhuo was talking about was Jian Wushuang, who had had several connections with him. Jian Wushuang was just a Taoist at the beginning, and his strength was at best comparable to the 2nd-tier peak emperor. Looking at the breath now, it is stronger than him. Inheritor, Yu reading www.ukanshu.com is really extraordinary. Nye Yuan was shocked. Come with me. Jian Wushuang didn't talk nonsense. He treated each other directly and frankly. I'm afraid that someone will find out after a while. The people guarding this place have not yet discovered it. He still has a chance to breathe. Nye Yuan followed behind him, and the two of them did not retain any reservations, and they moved forward at full speed, their figures resembling electric lights. Those who passed by looked at them in surprise. Where is my daughter? Nye Yuan couldn't help being excited. Jian Wushuang didn't turn his head and whispered, her position is a bit off, but you can see it right away. By the way, I forgot to tell you that her name is Gong Miaoui. Gong Miaoui Miaoui? Nye Yuan's eyes flushed, and he was about to see his daughter. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-48. Just as the two were walking towards the location where Gong Miaoui was, a huge soul power quietly descended. This power sword Wushuang is very familiar with it. It is the inheritance of the soul Dao among the 3 kings. He had walked through the soul ladder at the beginning, and was familiar with this breath, but why did this breath appear here? Jian Wushuang was very surprised. Shouldn't this breath fall into the turbulence of time and space along with the 3 kings' court? How could it appear here? Too weird. Powerful souls began to descend one after another, and the power of the soul road became extremely strong. Jian Wushuang and Nye Yuan also stopped, because a powerful soul appeared in front of them. The soul of the head of the beast, in front of the two of them, began to transform, and on the illusory soul, divine power began to appear. That power was the power of the space fire stone. These souls are actually swallowing the power of the space Huamingshan to supplement their own divine and physical bodies. Jian Wushuang was shocked. After that, in a panic, he transmitted a voice to Wu Zhuo. It's a god, he did it. Wu Zhuo said excitedly. But Jian Wushuang was not so excited, because that soul body is staring at him. It seems that I still have to do something to him. Jian Wushuang immediately drew out the Jueyun sword. Then a hand was placed on Nye Yuan, and a majestic life force was injected into Nye Yuan's body, instantly returning Nye Yuan to his peak state. Jian Wushuang reminded, take these things, you will need them later. Then he took out a mustard seed and handed it to Nye Yuan. There were some treasures in it, a complete set of eternal treasures. He was afraid that Nye Yuan would fall, and these treasures could also defend himself. These soul bodies are not simple, and there are people from the law enforcement hall who will do it. At that time, the situation is very chaotic. If you are not careful, the 6th Order Emperor may fall, let alone Nye Yuan, a 5th Order Peak Emperor. Let's find Miaoui first. Nye Yuan said anxiously after seeing the change. He was worried about Gong Miaoya's safety. Hearing what Wu Zhuo meant, there would be a big battle here. Now that he found his daughter, he wouldn't let her suffer any more harm. The mother who didn't protect her at the beginning, today said that she must keep her daughter safe. Jian Wushuang nodded and was about to move on, but the soul body that had not recovered its strength blocked their way. I found Jian Wushuang, after regaining his strength, Su. Before the other party's words were finished, Jian Wushuang's soul body was cut with a single sword. The strength of these soul bodies is very fragile. Depending on the strength of the soul, the opponent is at least at the level of a 6th-order emperor, but he can't stop him with a sword. At this time, he has the fighting power of a 5th-order emperor at most. And there is no defense. Go. Jian Wushuang took Nie Yuan and quickly left, rushing in Gong Miaoya's direction. The methods of the gods are too mysterious. These soul bodies came in an instant. Not only Jian Wushuang, but Wu Zhuo was a little surprised. But this also happened to be in their arms. The powerhouse of the law enforcement hall was originally planning to look for Jian Wushuang, but when he ran into the powerhouse of Shadowzong, he just diverted his attention. The strongest man sitting here, Emperor Lu Hua, one of the 3 masters of the Senate Palace, had already descended in an instant, and the formation of the space Huamingshan had also begun to descend. If it is purely for Jian Wushuang, this is not necessary. But the current situation has exceeded their imagination. Those soul bodies recovered to their peak in less than 3 breaths of time, and tens of thousands of 5th-order emperors slaughtered wantonly. However, they also have a division of labor. One Judian is responsible for resisting Emperor Lu Hua, and another Judian is going to set up a certain formation and pave the way. The final goal of the best is Jian Wushuang. I found him, follow me. The supremely strong man ordered to go down, and several 6th-order emperors gathered in an instant. The guard in the mine couldn't stop it at all. There are only 3 6th-order emperors who can only be forced to defend. They did not expect that someone would dare to attack the mine one day, and so many powerful men would come in an instant. The strong guards from the outside and the reinforcements of the law enforcement hall are on their way to attack, and it will take some time to reach this place. Emperor Lu Hua's law body was still blocked by the supremely strong man, and he couldn't take it out at all. You messy ministers and thieves! Emperor Lu Hua was furious. The mine cave that was originally extremely hard had already begun to collapse at this time. His Dharma body will not last long. At this time, the deity is at the headquarters of Yuanyang Old Palace, convening to start. Yuanyang Lake, the base camp of the Yuan Lao Palace, is not only the elders, but a large number of inheritors, as well as the top powerhouses among the indigenous emperors, have received orders, but it is a task for the inheritors. In just one breath, 100,000 troops were mobilized. But it is obviously impossible to send so many people in the past at once, and it can only be sent in batches. It takes time. Emperor Lu Hua could only send his deity first to stabilize the situation. In an instant, the battle rose to the top level in an instant. Emperor Lu Hua's deity shot himself. The entire mine is shaking. But one person is hard to beat with 4 hands, and tens of thousands of emperors and powerful people have long messed up the entire mine. Jian Wushuang took Nie Yuan and struggled to find Gong Miaoya's whereabouts in the chaotic battlefield. The outside world is constantly pouring into the strong, and the battle is very chaotic. The strong on the side of the gods will almost kill everyone without hesitation. Both sides are now looking for Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang and Nie Yuan also had a hard time walking, but fortunately, most of them were the 5th-order emperors, so they were easier to deal with. Don't fight with them, find Miaoyi first. Nie Yuan roared, bursting out a battle power comparable to that of a 6th-order emperor. His kendo is different from Jian Wushuang's ultimate kendo. It cuts out with a single sword, as if the opponent can't resist at all, or he doesn't know how to stop it. Those 5th-order emperors, as long as they received Nie Yuan's sword shadow, their bodies began to be distorted, and the whole person turned into paper, from the 3-dimensional walk, into a thin piece of paper. Essence leaked from Jian Wu's eyes, and the power of this kendo was very similar to the ultimate way in Gong Miaoya's body. In other words, it is the epitome of Nie Yuan's kendo. This time he really didn't come in vain. After this crisis, he must study Nie Yuan's origin, which is of great help to his ultimate swordsmanship. Jian Wushuang casually killed several fifth-order emperors who were blocking the way, pulling Nie Yuan aside, and then leaving the core. The two of them turned 7 and 8, and entered a series of narrow caves. There are also some emperors who mine ore. These people are very weak. Most of them are fourth-order emperors. Going out is a dead end, as long as a fifth order the emperor can sweep them all, so hiding here is afraid to go out. Jian Wushuang felt Gong Miaoy's breath, and he was nearby, without any hesitation, and rushed forward with Nie Yuan. Chapter 55-49. At this moment, a weird emperor attached to the stone wall opened his eyes and said with a hoarse voice, "Jian Wushuang is here with me, come here soon." The reason these people came here was for Jian Wushuang. Killing these people was just to create chaos. After everyone received the news, they all gathered here, and soon 5 sixth-order emperors had arrived. Jian Wushuang, Gong Miaoyi. As soon as the three of them met, they were already besieged in the mine. Fortunately, there was only one exit that could only allow one person to enter. They were just blocked. Nie Yuan stared at Gong Miaoyi, staring intently. The 10,000 words that had already been organized in his heart came to his mouth, but he didn't know how to say it. Until Gong Miaoyi took the lead and said softly, "Father." Father and daughter embrace each other. Everything goes without saying. Jian Wushuang took a look, and wittily blocked the gap, temporarily blocking the opponent's attack. At the same time, the sound transmission is black. Fiego hasn't appeared yet? If you rely on these people alone, it is actually very easy to catch him, but this is a mine. There are countless strong men gathered, and the strong men from the Senate Palace are coming in large numbers. Even if he is caught, he may not be able to retreat. Wu Zuo was also very anxious, and the transmission replied, "I haven't found it yet." Their goal is Fiego, not these ordinary emperors at all. Even if they seize the 3 absolute tops, they will not have much impact. Jian Wushuang, otherwise you pretend to surrender and go with these people first. I think that Fiego has no plans to come. It's better to go further. Maybe you can see Fiego then. Don't worry, as long as Fiego appears. Lord True Spirit will definitely end in person, and no one can threaten you by then. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. Isn't this really nonsense? Let him go one step further, it would really be overwhelming. Moreover, he didn't dare to believe all the true spirits. If the true spirits were so capable, how could he not find a disabled cosmic master in his lair? But now, he had no choice but to do as Wu Zuo said. "Brother Wu Zuo, don't make jokes at this time. Once I go with them, if Master True Spirit can't arrive at that time, you will be fully responsible for all of this." Jian Wushuang said ugly things before and gave Wu pressure is applied to the left. This is also for myself. Wu Zuo gritted his teeth and then agreed. This time, the two of them not only bet on their future, but also their lives. Jian Wushuang was okay, the gods caught him, and they used it at best, and there would be no life threatening. Wu Zuo was different. Once the plan failed, the true spirit could not spare him. At that time, maybe he will go to the second prison to suffer. While talking with Wu Zuo, Jian Wushuang's powerful force penetrated directly through his chest, and that force directly hit his divine body through the candle dragon's inner armor. The 50,000 times divine body burst instantly. The origins are trembling. The opponent's strength is definitely the highest existence among the 6th Order Emperors. I am afraid that it is not weaker than the Turtle Spirit Island Master of the Earth. This time Jian Wushuang did not destroy the origin. With just one blow, the whole person was bombarded, and he was directly bombarded on the stone wall. Nie Yuan also knew at this time that when he was not in love with his father and daughter, he stood in front of Gong Miaoyi at the moment. This made Jian Wushuang very embarrassed. Although there was a conspiracy behind him, at least it was to save the father and daughter. Can you give me some face? Even if the strength is invincible, at least behave. Everyone, I will go with you. Jian Wushuang got out of the stone wall with difficulty. His body was extremely weak, and he was already seriously injured. I saw a scarlet figure at the entrance of the cave, and the whole person was bathed in flames. The breath on his body was extremely terrifying. This person is the ultimate. Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank. I thought it was a sixth-order emperor, but he didn't expect to be an absolute powerhouse. It is estimated that this outstanding person was afraid of killing him in one blow, suppressing his strength when he started. Everyone gathered at the designated place. I have taken Jian Wushuang. Call. Jian Wushuang clutched his chest, panting heavily, then turned his head to look at Gong Miaoyi and Nie Yuan, and said, "Surrender, we are not opponents." Nie Yuan didn't have any comments on this, because he knew the plan. But Gong Miaoyi is different. At this time she took the initiative to step forward, bow down respectfully, and firmly said, "Junior Gong Miaoyi, Lord God once promised." But the words hadn't been finished yet. The supremely powerful man made a move instantly, and a flame instantly rushed to Gong Miaoyi's side. The power of the flame was enough to incinerate the world, extremely terrifying. Even the space fire stone is melting. Nie Yuan reacted extremely quickly, and instantly stood in front of Gong Miaoyi, blocking the flame. When Gong Miaoyi just stood up, he was surprised. This matter is getting more and more complicated. Jian Wushuang's face also sank. He didn't want to believe it at first, but now that the facts are in front of him, he has to believe it. Gong Miaoyi betrayed. Although he was using the other party, he really wanted to save Nie Yuan. Even if he was taken away, he would also beg the other party to let them go, even if he was taken away by the people from the Yuan Palace. Wu Zue, who knows the plan, will not embarrass the father and daughter. Why bother? Jian Wushuang looked on indifferently, without saying a word. He knows the true spirit too well, and will never stay after using Gong Miaoyi. At the beginning, the White King had recovered to the peak, not to mention that he died after he died. Not to mention a Gong Miaoyi, if you catch him, Gong Miaoyi has no use value. The supreme powerhouse bathed in flames, without any expression, said coldly, "My Lord God, I didn't tell me to take you away, so you are going to die." The gods only told them to take Jian Wushuang away, kill those who saw it, and destroy Gong Miaoyi. This is a disaster and cannot be left behind. If Jian Wushuang is really emotional, I am afraid he will not kill Gong Miaoyi, and he can keep Gong Miaoyi at that time to threaten Jian Wushuang. But Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaoyi used each other. So there is no need to keep it. The absolute strong, shot directly without any hesitation. A fiery snake, like lightning, is extremely fast. Gong Miaoyi and Nie Yuan are both Tier 5 emperors. Even if they can exert the power of Tier 6 emperors, they can't resist them. Dui Jian Wushuang can stay behind. It is completely unnecessary for these two. Jian Wushuang was aside, still a little unbearable. A sword flew out of his hand and directly stopped the fire snake. "Give me a way to survive." Jian Wushuang said, "This matter has nothing to do with her. I will go with you." Absolutely strong, very surprised, Mingming Palace Miaoyi betrayed Jian Wushuang, and actually even interceded for the other side. She must die. If the didn't order, he could give Jian Wushuang a face, but the named Dao and said that if he wanted to kill Gong Miaoyi, he would never keep his hands. Chapter 55-50. The other party was very firm. Jian Wushuang looked at Gong Miaoyi and said calmly, "Time is also destiny." Gong Miaoyi was very crazy, staring at Jian Wushuang, and said angrily, "Jian Wushuang, you don't pretend to be a good person here, you are a complete demon, you will be careful in your calculations, and you will never become an emperor." These words were shouted from the bottom of her heart, extremely vicious. Never become an emperor. Jian Wushuang's expression also sank. He longed for the emperor and yearned for the road in the future. He dared to curse that he would never become an emperor in his life. If he were someone else, he would have died 10,000 times. Trying to suppress his anger, Jian Wushuang closed his eyes. Destroy it? No one stopped this time. The fiery snake first passed through Nie Yuan, and instantly incinerated Nie Yuan's body, leaving only the divine body and origin. "No!" Gong Miaoyi shouted heartbreakingly. Obviously just met. Although Nie Yuan didn't know what happened to Gong Miaoyi and Jian Wushuang, He probably guessed that his daughter was taken advantage of. This time he waited for a long time. Perhaps he should have died long ago. Died in front of the Taoist couple. Shouldn't be struggling here. This time, it was worth dying for my daughter. Nie Yuan slowly turned around. Both the divine body and the source were constantly shattering. He stared at Gong Miaoyi calmly and said calmly, "Miaoyi, live well, no one can hurt you, no." A huge force erupted from Nie Yuan's body, and the divine body and origin that had been about to be incinerated once again recovered. The divine body has also become golden, and the whole person has turned into a form of law. The tenderness was also lost in his eyes, but with a majesty that overlooked the world. My kendo from the starry sky, today, with a force of soldiers to dispel the enemy, I beg seniors to give me a sword to break the enemy. Nie Yuan kowtowed with both hands. A golden light broke through time and space, coming from the end of time. This time, the entire Qishan temple was trembling. Starry sky? Jian Wushuang was shocked. There are people who know the starry sky? He didn't expect that Nie Yuan, an indigenous emperor, could actually touch the starry sky. How can that be? Moreover, he said he would break the enemy with a sword? Gong Miaoyi didn't have any shock, only eyes full of dismay. That Zhu Dian was very surprised and found that the other party was not right, so he wanted to do it, but the next moment, the entire Qishan temple was trembling. That golden light descended instantly. Nie Yuan held a golden sword in his hand that exuded the combination of time and space, and the fierce energy in his eyes reached the peak. "Only you, I still want to kill my daughter." The golden face, shouted angrily, cut out with a sword, and the mine instantly turned into two pieces. The huge space Huamingshan was split into two pieces. A huge crack appeared instantly, and a ray of light shone in. Outside, it's daytime at this time. Jian Wushuang was taken aback, slowly raising his head to look at the sky. The supremely strong man has quietly fallen. At this time, the flame went out, and the strongest man also leaked his original appearance, and the shock in his eyes was beyond words. Fallen. The golden statue was also under this sword, and began to collapse, turning into a stone statue. Nie Yuan looked at Gong Miaoyi for the last time. There was no sharpness in his eyes, only warmth. In fact, there is also a lot of resentment, but he dare not show it. He is afraid that his daughter will be sad because of his fall. "Father!" Gong Miaoyi, 2 lines of tears fell, and rushed forward desperately. Before Nie Yuan's origin had disappeared, he desperately grasped with his hands, trying to keep his father. Now she regrets that she killed her father. If she hadn't listened to the words of the gods would not kill her. All this is to blame her. Jian Wushuang, who was stunned, realized that Nie Yuan's origin hadn't completely disappeared. He shot it instantly, and the vitality in his body burst out, instantly returning to its peak. In the depths of one hand, the power of swallowing exploded in an instant, and a huge amount of life force descended, wrapping Nie Yuan's origin in it, and delaying the crushing of the opponent. Then the force of devouring urged and began to swallow. He had longed for Nie Yuan's origin a long time ago. How could he let it go before his eyes? And after seeing the opponent's sword, he was completely obsessed. The power of that sword is probably beyond the power of the emperor. One sword killed the supreme powerhouse and was able to split the space Huamingshan. This force might have reached the level of the Lord of the Universe. Gong Miaoyi turned his head and looked at Jian Wushuang, who was actually devouring her father's origin, full of resentment, and wanted to fight Jian Wushuang desperately. But where is she, Jian Wushuang's opponent? Humph! Jian Wushuang snorted coldly, and the claws of the candle dragon directly grabbed Gong Miaoyi's neck and shouted angrily, "If it weren't for you, Nie Yuan wouldn't die, do you understand?" He almost broke his plan. He must get the origin of Nie Yuan. If Nie Yuan is alive, he will also learn from it. Now that it has fallen, he can't watch it disappear. Starry sky. Jian Wushuang sighed from the bottom of his heart. Don't know, is he counted as a line of stars? Originally, he thought he was the only one who had entered the starry sky, but he did not expect that Nie Yuan's kendo origins were also obtained from the starry sky. The starry sky has a great influence on him. He has mastered the ultimate way in the starry sky, but Nye Yuan seems to have mastered the sword way. Starry sky. Now he has a doubt in his heart. Even the natives in the temple of Qishan have been to the starry sky, so is there anyone who has been to the starry sky, and how did they go? Huiqing? Jian Wushuang first thought of one person. Huiqing once stepped into Taoism. He always suspected. Later, when he learned that Huiqing was a reincarnated person, he didn't think much about it. But now, for his moment, I am afraid that Huiqing also entered the starry sky with his consciousness at that time. After countless years of reincarnation, it has such a powerful strength. If you simply enter the Tao in one step, your personality will not change that much. Even if it is because of the memory of previous lives, it will not be so outrageous. Although Huiqing in the previous life was also the ultimate one, but the potential was average. For now, it can be said that the potential is average. The current Huiqing, compared to the previous life, even compared to the entire primitive universe, is the first-class Tianjiao. It has only been a long time now that he has already entered the Sixth Order Emperor. The old guys who have surpassed countless epochs of cultivation are almost catching up with Shang Shang. This potential against the sky is not only due to the past life, maybe it is related to the starry sky. Nye Yuan is the same. It can be deduced from Nye Yuan that he is a native emperor who has not been cultivated for an epoch, but he can reach the point he is today. If there is no inheritor, I am afraid that Nye Yuan's potential is definitely a top-notch talent in the four secret realms. The Fifth Order Peak Emperor, comparable to the Sixth Order Emperor's combat power, was born in less than an era. Starry sky. Jian Wushuang has a yearning. The Temple of Qishan is a substantial help, but the birth of the starry sky is a yearning for the future, where is the cradle of the strong. Chapter 55-51. What primitive universe, the long river of time and space, there is not even a master of the universe, it is not the place for them to improve their strength. If the Temple of Qishan hadn't appeared, they would not have reached the time and space of Moruo in the ancient times in the long river of time, not even hundreds of millions of epochs. Even if it reaches the level of Moruo's time and space, I am afraid it will fall due to strength. Universe, time and space, starry sky. Jian Wushuang yearned for the stars even more. Because of the long river of time and space, his impression was just like that. Although I saw many long rivers of time and space in the starry sky, some rivers of time and space are very powerful. They are the lifeblood of the starry sky, but they are also lines after all. The starry sky is the real carrier. Compared with these, what ego, what arrogance, what plan is not important. Jian Wushuang cautiously put Nye Yuan's origin into his body, only to breathe a sigh of relief. The biggest receipt this time is not to attract the gods, but to the information about the starry sky. It's a pity that he couldn't find out any news about the starry sky from Nye Yuan's origin, but from the origin road, he could feel a strong sword intent. Unlike his ultimate kendo, Nye Yuan's kendo is more perfect. Maybe it's because Nye Yuan also reached the kendo consummation and he joined together, maybe because the opponent's kendo came from the stars. Jian Wushuang believed that it was from the stars, and he was still very confident in his kendo. Just relying on guarding against the sky cannot compare with his kendo. At the 8th level of the ultimate kendo, none of the ultimate princes can match him. This is strength. Also emboldened. His ultimate kendo, every step is a huge opportunity. It's just one step away now. As long as he reaches consummation, he can be in harmony. Once he becomes the emperor, his strength can be quickly improved, and then it will directly rival the top, and even be able to reach the top in a short period of time. Regarding the pinnacle of life force, he has been initially perfected, and he has reached the Hinayana realm. After the kendo is completed, combined with kendo, you can reach the Mahayana realm by creating again. After breaking through, you can directly fight on the secret method. As for the path of space and realm, it is too slow. Before the emperor, he could reach the realm of the black hole, even if it was good. After becoming the emperor, he would be able to improve some perceptions of space, and he didn't improve the realm of space too much. It's impossible to reach the peak by relying on the realm. The evolution of space into the universe is half a step into the master of the universe. At present, the only person who reached the absolute peak of the secret method and realm at the same time was Shang. With so many inheritors, only one has reached this level. In addition to the inheritors, Wuzhua is also at this level. As for those puppet hall masters, I don't know. Jian Wushuang left Gong Miaoyi aside and ignored it. Whether she could survive this time, it was all good luck. Now he wants to take the initiative to go out. The strong from the Senate kept coming, and the people arranged by the gods soon ended. Now he has to beg these people to take him away. Since the gods have arranged in this way, there must be a way out. Outside the cave, a group of emperors surrounded Jian Wushuang, not daring to step forward, because the supreme powerhouse who had just entered had fallen, and the Huaming mountain in the space was split in half. No one knows how powerful Jian Wushuang is. Don't be afraid, we are our own. Jian Wushuang took out a token, and the emperors breathed a sigh of relief when they saw it. This token was actually fake. Originally, he also had a real token, but it was a pity that it was destroyed when he fell into the second prison. But it's enough to take out and fool this person. They are here to look for him. Even if they don't have a token, they will take him away. Jian Wushuang, you'd better not play tricks. The Sixth Order Peak Emperor who took the lead stared at Jian Wushuang cautiously. Obviously these people were frightened by the sword just now. Not only these people, but everyone present was frightened. Even Wuzhua kept sending him a voice message asking what happened when he arrived, and he was able to split the space Huaming Shan into two. The true spirit in the Sea of Origin stared at the Mung Bean Eye, holding a string of light green bracelets in his hand, and constantly moved. That power comes from the starry sky. The true spirit was extremely shocked. He originally thought that there would be a generation of anti-heaven among the inheritors related to the starry sky. Now it seems that the Qishan temple is not safe. This made his determination to run even stronger. Once Fuego is eliminated, he will speed up the growth of the inheritors, forcibly create a lord of the universe, solve the god, understand the cause and effect, and then take the temple of Qishan to other time and space. Although this time and space has not yet grown, there are too many hidden secrets to stay for long. There were already 2 visitors from the starry sky. Jian Wushuang is one, and Nie Yuan is also the same, and both are practicing swordsmanship. This reminded him of the once Emperor Jueyun. Will there be some kind of connection among them, or it would be a coincidence that they are all kendo practitioners? And they are all against the sky. Jian Wushuang didn't talk about it with the great Emperor Jueyun. One represented the peak of the Taoist and the other represented the peak of the Emperor. Nie Yuan is something that has something to do with the starry sky. When others look at Nie Yuan, I am afraid they will be a little surprised. An aboriginal emperor can be so strong and has good potential. But from Zenling's point of view, Nie Yuan's strength and potential were average, and only the last sword made him a little uneasy. He clearly saw that sword, coming from the end of time, cutting through time and space, and descending into the temple of Qishan. Qishan temple is the treasure of time and space. It can't be isolated, like a thatched house. The golden light will come in as soon as it comes in. The power he couldn't resist. The last time I was looking at Jian Wushuang's timeline, I was stared at by Xing Kong's big eyes, but this time it was the golden sword that came from Nie Yuan's summons. There are more and more things that can endanger him, and he feels exhausted. In the human world, Huiqing is also threatened. What he values most is actually Huiqing, but in the end it is to raise a tiger. Later I looked at Apei Wushuang. Turned out to be a 25 boy. He betrayed him for a while, and then because everything was under control, he ignored it. It was an understanding. But because of the starry sky, Jian Wushuang was kicked out of the successor list. Few people can be seen now. And they are all wandering around the Taoist monarch. They are not the same as Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang is about to get together, and those people still have some way to go from getting together. Among the first group of inheritors, the ultimate existence of the light path is like this. The original path has been completed, but the realm and the power of the soul are much different. The true spirit received the 3 kings' court, analyzed all the soul and path inheritors in it, and dedicated it to the other party for enlightenment, but that was not enough. Each has its flaws. There is no truly perfect inheritor who can free him from any pressure. Chapter 55-52. Visitors from the stars are naturally very good and strong, just like Jian Wushuang. But the details are not clean. He is also afraid. Fearing that Zuanyi's prediction came true, Kishendian made wedding dresses for others. Everything about Qishan must be erased from the timeline. How unwilling this is. The true spirit is also a part of the gods, and the temple of the gods is his. Ugh, tired. The plan is perfect, it can be implemented, but it is extremely difficult. Everyone is fighting, even the real spirit is no exception. Jian Wushuang is now playing with his own life again. Never considered that the gods would kill him. Following those emperors, he went directly into a hidden space. How many people haven't arrived? Asked the supreme powerhouse who had previously fought with Emperor Lu Hua. Elder Shadow too has fallen, and now Qi is still in the mine to break the restriction. Once the restriction is broken, we can leave instantly. Yingyi turned his head and glanced at Jian Wushuang, very satisfied. This time it went well. They dared to come here, but they didn't want to leave alive. Don't wait, go directly to Kuei, and go straight away as soon as the prohibition is broken. Lu Hua's strength is too strong and will soon be able to sweep us. Yingyi's eyes have a trace of worry. The strength of Emperor Lu Hua is indeed well-deserved. That's the absolute pinnacle of bringing the realm of space to the level of the universe. Once the secret method Mahayana had the strength of those gods under the command of the Qishan. This time, several gods did not come, and these people were lucky. If the magic sound gods or the monarch in the cloud came, they would be wiped out in an instant. Those are the ultimate emperors, and they are the ultimate emperors who have elevated the space to the level of the universe, and each has its own peak secret method. And they are all secret Mahayana. God generals, each of them can be compared to the master of the half-step universe. Otherwise, the true spirit won't let the magic sound general and Yun Zhongjuan go to sit in the old palace. The space hidden in the dark seems to be completely divided from this place, and people from outside can't get in at all, even Emperor Lu Hua can't find it. Outside world. Emperor Lu Hua frowned and swept away those mysterious emperors. The mysterious jewel who had just fought with him had disappeared, although he couldn't find it no matter how he looked for it. Then mobilized the formation and found that Jian Wushuang had also disappeared. Jian Wushuang, all this is best to be fake, otherwise you will be miserable. Emperor Lu Hua began to regret it. Release Jian Wushuang, but it still has something to do with him. That is indispensable. At that time, it's not that the palace lord's position can't be kept. I'm afraid that he will lose his life. Thinking back to the words he had said to Wu Zuanao, he had no face to look back, and he could only walk to the end one by one. The entrance of the universe. The prohibition is being worn away. The ban is here, even the most powerful ones can't break it. If you want to break it, you need special means, and the gods have long been prepared. It is almost impossible to rely on a few absolute tops alone. When this prohibition was created, it was created by the top powerhouses in the defense. Even if the 18 gods gather together, it will not be broken. But the gods have a way. It was Qi who broke the ban. Territory Qimen is the commander. His identity is extremely mysterious. Speaking of which, Jian Wushuang had fought each other before. At the border of Maluo Nation, I also felt the other side's methods. Qi, it is the elder Mo Luo. When it expanded wildly, it was for this day. Once he leaves, Mo Luo has no shelter and will die. Fortunately, he made all preparations, leaving behind a lot of backhands before leaving. Even if it fell this time, there was nothing to worry about. A series of imprints were punched out in his hand, forming a terrifying catalogue, which was bloody. It was a totem. The gods told him that once the totem is turned on, everything can be broken. Because this is the totem of the giant clan. Giants. The gods are just ordinary members of the giant clan. Fuego and the dome in the origin of everything are both giants. one of the strongest races in the sky. When it was born, it was the highest existence in the universe, and the Mahayana period was able to rule a long river of time and space. In the starry sky, there are just over 100 long rivers of time and space, and there are dozens of powerhouses among the giant gods, and more than half can control a long river of time and space. What a powerful force this is. When the Chishan was at its peak, but only controlled a long river of time and space and then fell. The giant clan controls dozens of them. Otherwise, one Foi ego alone would not be able to destroy the three kings. The various characters that flashed on the totem, each super powerhouse of the giant tribe, the prohibition began to break at this moment. A shout from the starry sky came instantly. It's the starry sky again. Fortunately, it was just a sound, but its power was no weaker than that sword. That sword is pure killing, killing all living beings. This roar was a roar containing all things, directly shattering the prohibition. Prohibition of breaking. Kuei was very excited, and quickly transmitted a voice to Ing. Space is here. Go! Everything went smoothly unexpectedly. Less than a quarter of an hour later he took down Jian Wushuang, broke the ban and fled. Light began to glow in the mysterious space. It was a teleportation array. Jian Wushuang stood among these people, looking surprised. The power contained in this teleportation formation was much stronger than the strongest teleportation formation he had seen in the White Tiger Palace. The strongest teleportation array in the temple is cross-border teleportation. But the power contained above is actually not as good as 1/10 of this teleportation array. Where is this to send him to? Jian Wushuang was surprised. Leave the temple of Qishan? When Lu Hua discovered that power, the teleportation array had been activated, and all the emperors in the mysterious space disappeared. At this time, just a quarter of an hour, the Deputy Hall Master Zhong and Wu Shan came. Seeing the devastated mine, and then looking at the lonely palace Master Lu Hua, everything understood. Where is Jian Wushuang? Deputy Hall Master Zhong said anxiously. He always felt that this matter must have something to do with Jian Wushuang. Emperor Lu Hua didn't bother to talk to each other and left here directly. There is no need for him to clean up the mess. This time, the loss is actually not a big one. But the face is ashamed. You reading www.ukanshu. The space Huamingshan was split into two parts, and the prohibition was also broken. As for those who fell, it's nothing. This is just a Qiankuan mine, and there are still many mines on the mountain. It's the strong man in the Senate Palace. This time he has also fallen a lot. Although most of them are indigenous emperors, there are also some sixth-order emperors who have fallen. The inheritors came last, and only received the tail. Naturally there was no loss. Gong Miaoyi. Deputy Hall Master Zhong stood at the place where Jian Wushuang and others had fought before, staring at Gong Miaoyi on the ground. Jian Wushuang was running fast, not to mention, since Gong Miaoyi was left behind, this time it was not a waste of work. Take her away and her to Yuanyang Lake's prison. I will try it myself. Chapter 55-53. Deputy Hall Master Zhong waved his sleeves, and several people behind him stepped forward to restrain Gong Miaoyi's body, and then left with Deputy Hall Master Zhong. There is no announcement to the outside world. Deputy Hall Master Zhong has also asked Wu Zhuo, and found that Wu Zhuo suddenly loses his mind about this matter, and he also has doubts and guesses in his heart. But he should do nothing less. Wu Shan was different. He had already seen that something was wrong. After Jian Wushuang ran with mysterious Zhu Dian, he lost his heart and returned to the Xiao family. Everything fell into the ordinary. Only Wu Zhuo was waiting anxiously, and he found that Jian Wushuang could not be reached. The origin of the sea. Wu Zhuo paced back and forth, anxious in his heart. Zhen Ling gave him a big look and cursed, "What sway? My eyes are dazzled. My lord, I am incompetent." Wu Zhuo knelt down directly. He lost Jian Wushuang. It was agreed to save Jian Wushuang's life, but now he is gone again. It was the same last time, it was the northern border, and it was a familiar place. Zhen Ling shook his head and said calmly, Thanks, Can't get out of my palm. With gestures of his palm, Zhenling frowned. That faint breath is weakening. The bracelet that he played was almost crushed by him. Damn it. After feeling the place where the faint breath had stopped, Zhenling yelled angrily. It was true that he hadn't escaped from his palm, but Jian Wushuang's current position, he couldn't go. It was very special. The first prison. It was a one-way journey. At the same time, he also discovered Fo Yigo through Jian Wushuang. No wonder Fo Yigo has not been found, because he was afraid of death and went directly to the first prison. It is impossible for them to escape from the Temple of Qixin, and it is impossible for them to hide. That's only to enter the first prison. Wu Zuo was taken aback by the real spirit, and the atmosphere didn't dare to make a sound. Go! Zhenling lifted the chessboard directly. Wu Zuo quickly retired and left in a desperate manner. This time the plan seemed to be a complete failure. I don't know how many times I hit the palace lord and failed again. He also lost Jian Wushuang. This time he was completely unable to turn around. Even the many benefits of Jian Wushuang could not be converted by the true spirit. This time I lost the woman and lost the soldiers. Zhenling stood up. This time it was his turn to pace. The first prison is very strong, but it can't stand the peak of Fo Yigo. At that time, what should Fo Yigo do with the Frosa? Zhenling was completely panicked. I started to pray in my heart. I didn't believe this, but now I can only do this. I hope that Jian Wushuang will guard his heart and protect everyone from the individual. The first prison. Master Fo Yigo, right here? Yes, that's it. Take care of it. My life force is a bit violent. Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged in the void, directing a large number of emperors to arrange a formation. This formation, with him as the core, was specially restored by Fo Yigo. Through this formation, he is like a source of life, constantly able to restore Fo Yigo's strength, and also able to resolve the hidden wounds left by the gods. The gods turned into humanoid beasts, and what they saw from the side was stunned. He originally thought Jian Wushuang would use some tricks, but he didn't expect to cooperate like this. Not only did he propose a formation method, he also took the initiative to say how powerful the life force is, which can help him heal his hidden injuries. In this way, not only can Fo Yigo be able to recover to the peak and reach the state of the Master of the Universe, but he can also return to the level of the Master of the Universe. However, he has been suppressed since his birth, and his strength is much worse than Fo Yigo, and he has just entered the realm of the Master of the Universe. But it would be nice to be able to recover and escape. Having been suppressed for countless epochs, he tried his best to calculate step by step and lay out the 4 secret realms, waiting for this day. But it was also because of Jian Wushuang's special nature that it was able to go so smoothly. According to the original plan, Fo Yigo was sent to the first prison to find an exit. But after a big turn, there was no exit at all. I was almost desperate at first. Only the ephesul in the origin of everything is left. When the opponent is born, I don't know how long it will take. Even if it can break out of the shell perfectly, the strength will first enter the level of the Lord of the Universe, which is not enough to see. True Spirit has made several shots, he has observed, and he is definitely not an ordinary Master of the Universe. Now Jian Wushuang has given him a surprise. The force of life. That is the power of all things, the most perfect power evolved. With this strength, he can not only escape from the prison, but also restore the peak. Quickly, I can leave soon. God Frosa was very excited. Since his birth, he has not been free, and can only rely on his original inheritance to feel the glory of the outside world. Of course, it is not the long river of time and space here. It was the long river of time and space that multiplied to the peak in the starry sky, where was his home. Although they were all divided into a long river of time and space when they were born, not everyone can finally control a time and space. There are also those who can't go down, go to the strong people of the same clan. For example, Fo Yigo was born much earlier than him. Not only did he not control a long river of time and space, but he also encountered a peerless strong man and was almost beheaded. Fortunately, the ability to escape for life is not weak, and relying on a strong fellow of the same clan with great strength can be considered a firm foothold. Compared with Fuego, he is still a bit more miserable. It's worse than him, and it's not nothing. The one in the origin of everything does not even have the ability to break out of the shell. I was relieved when I thought about it this way. The gathering of the three giants, which is rarely seen in the history of their clan. Most of the giant tribes are roaming or wandering outside, and the best ones are to control a time and space and become the overlord of the starry sky. There are few opportunities to meet with the same race. Just when the Frosa was thinking about the future, the array that was laid out began to exude tremendous power. Although that power is violent, no matter it is a practitioner or an ordinary person, as long as it is a life, it is very comfortable to feel that power, but all practitioners in the formation are very comfortable. I feel that my vitality is constantly rising. Success! Jian Wushuang was overjoyed in his heart. He himself didn't expect that he would succeed so soon. He had previously thought that it would fall to this point. Wu Zhou has repeatedly assured him that as long as he finds the true spirit of Fuego, he will end up personally. What is the result? The real spirit did not wait, but the gods and Fuego went off in person. Although neither of the two's combat power has returned to the level of the Lord of the Universe, together, they are definitely the combat power of the Lord of the Universe. What he can do as a Taoist, he can only recognize the current affairs as the master, and take one step to see. Now that the formation is set up successfully, all that is left is to help Fuego recover his strength. This is also the easiest step, but for him, it is a bit uncomfortable. He needs to use countless vitality to nourish Fuego. Chapter 55-54. He has this power, but I wanted to use so much life force at once, even if I squeezed him dry, I couldn't squeeze it out. Jian Wushuang reminded a little embarrassingly, Master Shenling, this formation has been completed, look. Why, what's the problem? Fuego opened his eyes first and looked at Jian Wushuang. With this formation, it can maximize the transformation of life force into his body. This is the most perfect way. The smiled lightly, but it doesn't hurt to say it. Lord God, relying on this formation, it takes at least 3 epochs to recover from the injuries on the 2 of them. If you want to be faster, but I need the supplement of the power of all things. Jian Wushuang was very tactful. The treasures needed are said. 3 epochs, what he said still has some leeway, it really takes 3 epochs to maintain the strength of self-recovery to run the big formation. If you suffer a little, in fact, 2 epochs will be enough. But he didn't want to waste such a long time. I really have to wait for 2 epochs. I am afraid that there will be several cosmic masters in the Temple of Qixin. By that time, these 2 are really going out. I am afraid there will be a big battle, when he is not a human inside and outside. He can't just look at the present, he has to find a clear path for himself. If these 2 return to their peaks now, no one from the outside world can stop them. He didn't know the true spirit's strength. Even if it could be stopped, he would be evenly matched. At that time, he could still deal with the 2 sides. Don't let one party be too strong, otherwise he will be useless. A useless person will generally not end well. They seemed to be able to insight into his heart, and did not promise anything, but said, "How long will it take? As soon as possible, you give me an accurate time." 100,000 years. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth. This time it is the fastest. If there is a steady supply of all things power in his body, he will be able to help Fuego recover to his peak combat power in 100,000 years. As for the injury of the gods, he has already seen it, and he will be able to understand the other party in 10 years. But they smiled with joy. Jian Wushuang didn't want to procrastinate. He didn't want to procrastinate. Naturally, the sooner the better. He has also been observing the inheritors in the Qixin Temple. The strongest one already has half the power of the Lord of the Universe, so he doesn't dare to drag on. The Frosa threw a mustard seed to Jian Wushuang and said, "These treasures are the treasures I have accumulated through searching countless epochs in the 4 secret realms. It should be enough. As for the extra, it's all yours." In countless epochs, there are countless treasures collected by the various forces of the Shadow Sect and the Qeman. Jian Wushuang took the mustard seeds, pierced in with a trace of thought power, and felt it. Although he was quite knowledgeable, he was taken aback. The treasures in it have surpassed his imagination. Among them, there are not many particularly precious treasures. Most of them are the original treasures useful to the emperor, but when they are put together, the value can be great. These treasures are enough to cultivate countless emperors and powerful people, and can even feed the entire northern realm. It can be seen how valuable it is. These treasures are indeed enough. And more. Of course, no one would think that he has too many treasures. It's just that the spirit of the gods is different from his vision. What the gods desire is freedom, and once they are truly liberated, these treasures will not even be counted as a hair. You can start. Foi Ego was already a little impatient, and he was even more eager to go out. Jian Wushuang was not talking nonsense either, nodded, while devouring countless treasures, while injecting massive life force into the big formation. 100,000 years, for them like the strong, it was just a blink of an eye. It's just a pity that Jian Wushuang couldn't be distracted from his cultivation in these 100,000 years. He didn't have time to comprehend Nie Yuan's inheritance. However, he is very close to the 9th level of ultimate swordsmanship. As long as he goes out for a little insight and creates a pinnacle, he will be able to step into the 9th level. Both Kendo and Jaido have a perfect posture. Hadao is imminent. Jian Wushuang took a long breath and said in his heart, I hope everything goes well. For Foi Ego and others, all this is very fast. But for him, these 100,000 years have not been so easy. Of course, there is the true spirit of the outside world who is as anxious as him. 100 years after Jian Wushuang suddenly disappeared from the mysterious emperors, the gods personally went to the northern realm. At this time, the mine has been restored to its original condition. The guards outside the entrance of Qiankuan Cave are also much tighter than before. After the previous lesson, the Senate Palace had to pay attention to it. Although there is a high probability that no one will break in again, you still have to behave on the surface, otherwise you will be ridiculed by the people of the temple and in action. When the true spirit comes, no one notices it, as if the true spirit cannot be seen. The guards still stood in place, without knowing that there was a powerful existence just now, and walked in. Space. Zhen Ling gritted his teeth and frowned. The origin of his space has long reached the level of consummation, which is the cosmic space. At the beginning, the teleportation array was built in the cracks of space, and he saw the strangeness at a glance. Since others can build, he may also be able to build a teleportation formation based on some clues. It's just easy to get in, but difficult to get out. Even if he went in now and cut off Foi Ego and others, he couldn't get out by himself. What should I do? Although he couldn't get out of the temple of Qishan, but if the real body was trapped in the first prison, it would be even more troublesome. Only relying on the clone could not sit in the temple of the Qishan. There is still a god staring at the outside world. At the beginning, the god was able to enter the temple of Qishan through the power of mind. Who knows if he can come in after getting out of trouble? It is true that he is the incarnation of the gods after the fall, but don't forget that God was once one of the origins of the gods. All of this may be possible. In case the magpie's nest is occupied by the dove, he will regret it too late. Except for him, no other person can be sent. Time goes backwards. The real spirit's figure began to dim, and his body entered a pavilion. It is the pavilion in the Sea of Origin. The space where the teleportation array had been established began to twist and change, and everything was turning. The battle of 100 years ago is vivid, and everything is in the eyes of the real spirit. He fiddled with time casually, as if everything was 100 years ago. Seeing everything when it happened, Zhen Ling's eyes shrank. Especially the scene when Ye Yuan broke out, he was surprised. Starry sky. That sword. Open the mountain with one sword and kill all enemies in front of you. It's a pity. Zhen Ling sighed. The loss of such a talent is also a big loss. If it is cultivated, it will not be weaker than those ultimate emperors. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.